So let's get on with this week's Street Talk then, where we have got 5 stories to chat about. We have the Timperton story, which got a name check in tonight's Coronation Street episode. I was so chuffed for that. I think probably that line was written many months ago, whereas we maybe came up with a storyline title a couple of weeks ago. But
they might have thought of it before
we definitely put it out there before they did. Yeah, before Gail.
We manifested it into the universe.
Gail called Timperton today. We've got a bit more of the Happy Baby Baby storyline, and coming up next we've got Phil and the serial... No, what am I calling this? Phil and the serial killing. Not so good, is it? Not so. I've been thinking ages for one. I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, John Stape gets another reference in this week's Coronation Street. They seem to be returning to that well. Maybe a little bit too much for the Fizz stories, possibly. We had some more of the Max Out story and a return to Halo at the end of the week as well. But before we get started on this, can we talk about the Gail and Eileen bench scene first? Because that was lovely. That was on tonight's episode, marking the 5th anniversary of the Manchester bombings. When there was
Sunday, yeah.
Yeah, it was Sunday, yeah. So they had Gail and Eileen going up to the bench, that tribute bench in Victoria Gardens with the plaque for Martin Hett and the other victims.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that was coming. Well, I wouldn't have known it was coming if the continuity lady hadn't said beforehand. I probably would have wondered what's going on here then. But I thought it was quite nicely done.
It was very poignant, yeah. And that bench is a permanent sort of tribute, isn't it? That stays in the garden.
Yeah.
To honour their lives.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice that they just had a separate scene. It wasn't related to any other stories. Having the usually feuding Eileen and Gail coming together. It maybe didn't make complete sense that why both of them happened to be there at the same time. Why were they going on Friday when the tribute's on Sunday, etc., etc. But I think the lines that were written for them to say were quite nice. They didn't make a huge thing of it. Just something small to
mark the occasion.
To mark the occasion, yeah. I thought it was very nicely done. They absolutely didn't need to do that. So it's close to many people's hearts. Yeah, absolutely in Manchester for sure. So no, good job, Coronation Street. I like it, and it's a rare occasion that real life events even get mentioned in Coronation Street, because unlike some of the other soaps, like EastEnders even had a scene about the Eurovision winner this week, didn't they?
Oh yeah.
We were so close this week. Anybody else watch Eurovision? I
could not believe it. We were watching that going, are we going to win? We can't win.
We always watch Eurovision every year, and we had our friends round, and we're just used to getting no points or anything at the end. And it just so weird as the evening going on.
Everyone was so excited.
Everyone was giving us points. We did have a good song this year. Yes. I thought that
it could be number 1.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, I like that song.
It's usually I think our songs are a bit pants.
Yeah, it is.
And this year as well, I thought that a lot of the other competition songs were rubbish. Usually there's a couple of good ones that I actually like, but this year
from Serbia.
This year I actually think that the UK did have the best song.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So Coronation Street doesn't often mention real life things, so it was nice that it did. And what's better, or no, not better, what more important, fitting, suitable real life event to mention than the Manchester bombing. So yeah, good job. I can't believe it's 5 years ago, because
it really is crazy how long ago it feels now. Wow, it doesn't feel that long ago, but 5 years.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel.
No, because we did a special tribute podcast then, didn't we? Talking about we did an emergency one, which is still out there if people want to listen to it. But no, I think they did a good job. Maybe interesting that they had a very serious scene there with Gail and Eileen kind of putting their differences aside, and then later on in the episode you had Eileen like a wailing banshee at topless Jacob coming out of her shower, and then Gail being her usual dippy self out by Steve's doorbell and everything. There were some bits that I like Gail this week, some bits I didn't like her, but I think there were bits of this week's Corrie where I laughed more than I've laughed at Coronation Street for a long time, and some of those scenes did include Gail, so maybe it was all worth it just for this week's episodes. I don't know, because on the whole, I think it was a fairly decent week.
Yeah, I think so too.
But where is the Imran and Toyah story in tonight's episode, eh? Waiting for that. We had a trailer this week, and we can talk about that later.
Georgia Taylor was on Lorraine today, so she couldn't be in both.
That's true. That's true. We did see it, didn't we? There's not much news this week, so maybe we'll talk a bit about that in the news as well. Very important stuff. So the Timperton storyline to kick us off this week, and there's a raffle going on at the bistro. So Debbie is there arranging it. Nice to see Debbie back on the show again. She's great. Come on, get Sue Devaney back on that show. She has such a minor role at the moment.
I loved it today when she was walking past and she's like, "Hey, what are you talking about?" And he comes over like nosing in, like brilliant.
I thought it was weird today how they had her and Ronnie like arm in arm. I think that's the first time they may have ever touched since they've been going out for the past 8, 9, 10 months maybe. They're supposed to have been an item. We make fun of the fact that we can't even remember that Sarah and Adam got married, but I think Debbie and Ronnie are the most elusive, never seen couple on Coronation Street. Even Kathy and Brian get more of a romantic. We'll get more romantic storylines and scenes than those two do. Weird. But anyway, nice to see them for a little bit. And there's this raffle going on Monday, charity raffle, prizes. Get a bistro haircut, bistro meal.
Bistro haircut and a trim up north meal.
Yes, a haircut at the trim up north, night in the hotel. So basically you can just win a load of things that people always go to on Coronation Street anyway, because they're always at the bistro, they're always at the trim up north, and they're always going to Chariot Square Hotel. But never mind, this time they get to go there for free if they win. But the top prize was a VIP seat at a county match, weather county match. So who's going to get that? Well, we see a couple more scenes as well this week of Sally trying to be all seductive to Tim. She's there in the hot tub at one point in Monday's episode trying to get him in there. But he's just doing his best to resist because he's a little bit embarrassed still about his downstairs problems.
But aren't hot tubs bad for you lads?
I don't know.
I didn't think they were the best place to dangle your bits.
Well, I don't know whether the bubbles get underneath them and kind of give them a good zhuzhing about.
Agitation.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's all he needs. But no, that doesn't work. So anyway, they go to the bistro later for this raffle. The draw's already happened, and what do you know? Who'd have thought it? They've run a romantic night for two at Chariot Square. It's almost like the gods of soap coincidence have been shining down upon the bistro raffle. So Sally's obviously dead chuffed by this
and
prize.
Also,
Tim less so.
Steve wins.
Steve wins a doorbell. Not just any old doorbell, a video doorbell. Yeah, a non-branded, just generic video doorbell TM.
From like Poundland.
Yeah, but you're good. We've got our video doorbell that we set up in our new house. Because we got this Christmas last year maybe, did we get it from Dad? And we have not able to put it up because we knew we were moving. But they're really good. It
nice. Took us to September from December.
Yeah, it took us nine months or so to put it up, but it's well worth the effort. We just can't get a very good view of the street on it, can we? Because our door's kind of perpendicular to the road. But it's
you can't spy on neighbours, but the cat does that.
Yeah, she does. I highly recommend getting these video doorbells if you like to spy on people that are coming to deliver your shopping. Why wouldn't you? I'm surprised they haven't all got them on Coronation Street. It's like the curtain twitching for the 21st century, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tell you what, Ina Sharples would have had a video doorbell.
I don't know. Ina Sharples would have either had one or just thought very poorly of them.
She probably would have thought that they were the work of the devil or something. Probably just would have thought the internet was the work of the devil.
She probably would have thought it's good, honest work to spy on your neighbours. Why would you outsource it?
Yeah. So when Steve got that not ring doorbell, that generic doorbell, we said, what's that going to pick up? What's going to be the storyline down the line? The bed didn't even manage to get to the end of the week without the big doorbell related storyline event happening, did they? But hopefully it will happen again. I don't know. They'll probably just forget about it now, to be honest. Steve, hasn't he got CCTV out the back of his house as well from when he was trying to stop Jacob coming round?
They need to destroy it because it's at some point in the next X number of years, there'll be some kind of crime that takes place that will be solved if only he remembered he had this doorbell, but he's going to forget.
Well, I think maybe they'd do a good job to try and make the viewers forget about it and not mention it for like a year or so and then have a crime happen and Steve goes, wait, I've got my video doorbell.
What about Jeff's camera, Michael?
That is gone, Gemma. You've got to let that drop. So they've all won that prize. This hotel prize has Tam and Silly. I can't even talk again. Sally and Tim. And there's a little scene about Stim and Teve having a bit of a banter.
Stim and Teve?
I didn't say Stim and Teve, did I?
I'm pretty sure my ears have gone then.
Steve and Tim having a bit of a banter about their sexual prowess later, and also Tim's bragging about this hotel's trip to Steve. And Sally says, "Well, we can go tomorrow if you like, because there's an episode on then." And that shuts Tim right up, because he's like, "Oh dear, now I've got to perform for my wife in a sexy hotel spa situation." So back at home, Tim sends Sally upstairs so he can order some next day Viagra online. Well, it's also, sorry, it's not a Ring doorbell. It's not Viagra.
They don't say Viagra, do they?
Unbranded male erectile dysfunction pills online.
Yeah.
Wait, are you allowed to say erectile dysfunction on a podcast? I don't know.
No.
I'm going to have to give this an R rating now. Yeah, so
Explicit.
Tim does the very sensible thing of voggling it, clicking on an ad, and what could go wrong, basically. So Wednesday, we get to see... Wednesday was just... I absolutely loved this episode for multiple reasons, but everything that happened with Sally and Tim I thought was hilarious, and I've got a bit of a different threshold than lots of other people for silly, bloody hell, Sally and Tim stupidities. But I think this was just the right level of immaturity for me. It was very silly, and I got a lot out of it. So he's there at the window trying to wait for the postman to get his pills through the letterbox, but Sally's just wants to get going. She's desperate to go to this spa and get his kecks off. So after a few scenes of that, Tim realises that he can't delay any longer, which isn't a problem that he has in bed. And Tim says to Gail, as they're leaving, "Look, can you look out for the post for me? I've got a present for Sally. If you let me know when the postman's been, text me and I'm going to come back and get it." So off they go. Get a couple of spa scenes, which is a nice new set. I guess that they just kind of cordoned off an area of the Chariot Square hotel set and put a couple of sunbeds in there, but thought it looked quite nice.
I'm surprised that Coronation Street was able to resist the temptation of having Sally tell Tim they were going to have an erotic couples massage, and then have like a strapping, beefy, hunky man come out to tend to Sally, and then out comes Tim's masseuse. "Hi, my name is Helga. I will help you. You need to relax. Lay down now."
Yeah, no, nobody else was at this hotel. Oh no, there was a woman, wasn't there, that was there. But anyway, so they're all relaxing. Tim gets his message from Sal, brilliant. Jumps in the car.
Hang on,
in his dressing gown from Gail. Said the wrong name again. This is really bad.
I'm only going to correct you because it gets confusing if you don't.
He gets his message from Gail.
You're not the only. I do it as well.
Yes,
it's really easy. It's so when you're listening, it sounds so obvious, but when you're trying to keep track of everything and read everything out, it is actually more difficult.
Even though we've had 10 years practice of this, and I'm sure I didn't used to do it. Anyway, yeah. So he jumps into the car in his dressing gown. He has a funny little sit next to the wall, doesn't he? The Seb kicking wall for a bit, but I think it's supposed to be just a generic wall. And I don't even know what's going on in that scene. There's a couple of kids walking past making fun of him sitting there in his dressing gown. But anyway, he hangs around there for a bit, gets some odd looks from passers-by, heads back home, gets the parcel, and then zooms back to the spa again, stuffing these pills into his dressing gown. He tells Gail that that he's had a couple of toilet issues, which would explain his extended disappearance. And they have a nice chat. They kind of get the champagne out. Tim toasts putting a bit of sparkle back into their relationship. And Sally says, "Oh, I'm going to go and freshen up before our perfect afternoon." What do you think she went to do? What do women do when they say they're going to freshen up, Gemma? You're one of them, aren't you?
What do women do when they say they're going to... I wouldn't want to say.
She's just going to go into the waxing bit, maybe, or go squirt a bit of perfume down there, like Jacob and his link spray in today's episode.
There's lots of things I could say, but I want to save everybody's blushes.
Anyway, Tim grabs the pills and takes one. So they go up to the hotel room. They're all over each other. I think Sally's kind of taking the lead in the let's get to bed quickly kind of thing. Yeah. And then you get like Tim looking down at his crotch and going, "Way, he's working." But then it starts to go a little bit wrong with it for him. He says, "Oh, my heart's going 10 to a dozen," and Sally's going, "Oh yeah, mine too, baby." And he's like, "No, I think I might be having a heart attack again." He kind of collapses
in a bad way.
Collapses backwards onto the bed and is like, "Call an ambulance, call an ambulance." You suggested that this might happen, didn't you? As soon as you saw that Tim was going for the male virility pills, you thought those don't mix with heart medication.
Nope.
And you have proven correct.
It's like I'm a doctor.
Then we have the scene at the hospital, which I also found hilarious. Tim's there just kind of being really shy and saying, oh yeah, well, I took these pills, and then Sally's just outright plainly saying, are you talking about your penis, Timothy? And what are you going to call it next? A winky? This person went to medical university for 7 years. He talks to people about this all the time. But it was Tim's embarrassment and Sal's just complete not caring about
this was really mean
bandying. Do you reckon?
Well, I understand it was all supposed to be a bit of a joke, but there's definitely a middle ground, and obviously there's the drama of the soap. There's a middle ground between shrieking about your husband's penis in A&E and refusing to even talk about the fact that you might be having a heart attack because you've got a giant boner. There's definitely like a middle ground there.
I definitely
She was being really insensitive.
She was.
Like, it's his business if he wants to talk to the doctor and he and use different terms or be a bit discreet, then yes, I guess she was worried and she thought that he was being silly, but it is his penis or winky.
It's their shared winky. They are
it's
married.
Not. No, it's down to him.
But if it was down to him, then he wouldn't do anything about it, would he? Because he's not been to the doctors.
His rights to kick her out of the room at that point if she's going to be like that about it.
Yeah, but he'd have got a massive telling off when he got home. It wouldn't
she
be worth it.
She needs to respect his boundaries, but he also needs to speak up and not be silly and read this.
Both of them were very much in character in this scene, which is what I appreciated about it the most.
It was interesting. This is. I
thought the whole thing was interesting.
Story, yeah.
I didn't think that this came across as preachy at all today. I thought they got the balance of it just right. Like with everything.
I don't know. A couple of times I felt like I was watching Coronation Street's very special episode about erectile dysfunction.
Oh my gosh!
Especially when Gail comes
can you
along.
imagine if the Curry cast of the 1960s knew that 62 years time there'd be an episode all about erectile dysfunction.
Imagine Nina, Minnie and Martha sitting around in the stugger. I've heard that Len Faircloth can't perform in a bedroom.
What was your husband like, Ina? Oh, Ina, my husband.
We used to play hide the sausage, but then he lost his sausage completely, and it wasn't even due to rationing.
Anyway, so they go back home. Sally flushes the pills down the sink and says, look, why didn't you just ask Dr. Gaddis for some pills or advice or something?
Why didn't you when you had your appointment?
Yes, and he's like, well, yeah, actually, I didn't go to my appointment. Wow. So, Sally's pretty miffed about this.
Well, they've had to come home early because he's had an emergency.
Yes, they go home. Yeah, no, sorry, yeah, the pill flushing was at the hotel, wasn't it? She's
in a mood with him.
She's in a mood because he's been, not taking his health problems seriously. And Tim starts opening up about, well, Sally, you're the one that's always got the horn. You're always the one that's trying to seduce me. I don't know that was completely
a bit rude.
Fair. I think that
the history has mad.
Yeah, I think the history has shown they're both as bad as each other. I wouldn't say that Sally is the instigator. I don't think that she's the lead in this relationship. Would you?
I thought that was pretty low of Tim because not only is it wrong, but it also makes. Introduces the idea of shame or doing something wrong into your sex life as a married couple seems like a bad move.
Yeah, definitely. So I wasn't surprised at all when Sally stormed out, but I was glad she did because then she got a brilliant scene with Gail in the pub and she's like, at first she sort of wants to keep it a bit of a secret, doesn't she? But that doesn't last very long. She says, oh yeah, Tim sabotaged her romantic night away and Gail says, oh...
No, yeah. Well,
Gail says, oh, that's weird, because he seemed like he was going to give you a present. He seemed like he wanted to have a brilliant time with you. He came back home halfway through and picked up this parcel. and Sally's like, hang on a minute, what? He came back... And then she's like, she realised what's gone on. And she says, right, Gail, I'll tell you what, he bought some pills online. And Gail's like, ecstasy. I don't know where that came from.
I think it came from the fact that that's like the last time she was involved in pills is because Bethany was in hospital because she had him out of a teddy bear.
Yeah, probably. But you suggested on Twitter that that's what Gail's been popping for the last 10 years or so, which would explain her...
A battiness.
Yeah, batty behaviour.
That's why she's always so crazy.
Yeah. And yeah, see, she says, is it ecstasy? And Sally Sally's come back line with, who do you think we are, the Happy Mondays? I don't even know who the Happy Mondays are because I'm not cool, but I thought that it was good that there was a comeback line. I think that maybe, who do you think I am, Tracy Barlow, would have also worked just as well. So Sally and Gail then have continued the scene with talking about the prowess.
They're a Salford-based rock band, Michael, from the 1980s.
Topical, nice local band. Sorry.
Bez.
Bez.
Bez was in the Happy Mondays.
Bez is the one that does the talking heads on the end of year shows on Channel 5, is he? Is that where I know him from? Or he's been in Big Brother?
They've made some albums.
I'm sure they have.
Shall I tell you what they're called? Yeah. Lots of people know who the Happy Mondays are, but we don't.
Educate me, Gemma, into local Salford music.
Their first album was Squirrel and G-Man, 24-Hour Party People, Plastic Face, Can't Smile, Whiteout.
That's a silly name.
And then they also did Pills, Thrills and Bellyaches. But my favourite album was their second one, which was called Bummed.
Okay, thank you for that. Well, that's who the Happy Mondays are, for anyone else that didn't know. Yeah, the next scene was about talking about all of Gail's husbands, and Sally's like, so what have you had experience of this before? And Gail goes on this incredible tale of her various husbands about how good they were in bed, and it was like, oh yeah, Brian and Martin, they're obviously brilliant because they were so young and virile and energetic. And then you had Joe, and what did she say? He was a bit touch and go, because I think I put that down to the antidepressants. And then she's like, and Richard, oh yeah, Richard had some problems down there. Oh, he used to get very angry. The whole thing was so silly, and Batty Gale being the one delivering it kind of worked, I suppose, for this, but I was guffawing all the way through this, and she says, oh yeah, Richard got really angry. I think maybe that was the cause of all his problems. So we've got the deaths of Maxine, Patricia Hillman and guest Dougie Ferguson, all down to Richard Hillman's inability to get it up in the bedroom.
Is it Gail's fault or was it Richard?
Yeah, maybe. I
don't know. Did he have a guilty conscience, or
maybe.
was Gail just being really off-putting?
Yeah. I bet. Did you think he ever got called Dick Hillman?
He probably did.
Probably, yeah.
That's probably why he didn't want to go to prison.
I wanted to know about Michael Rodwell. I can't believe that they missed it out.
I was thrilled. I was on the edge of my seat. I was waiting to hear about.
Yeah. And then it's not difficult to make a joke out of that. I said to you, like, Rodwell by name, Rodwell by nature. Writes itself, come on. Poor old Michael, he's not even important enough to get a mention in here, honestly. But I thought it was just brilliant. I like a good classic Corrie name drop. Wednesday's had a couple of others. I can't remember who else. Well, John Stape, obviously. There were a few callbacks to classic characters.
Good
and they can't do it all the time because it gets silly, but I really did appreciate it in that episode. It was fab. Oh, Charlotte Hoyle was another one that got a mention in Wednesday's episode. Love that. I liked
this. I also felt like it was good to watch a couple of mates having a chin wag.
Yes, it was brilliant.
And also it was good because Sally and Gail have their little chat, but also Tim and Steve have a chat too. So we get to see these characters talk to their friends about their problems, which rarely happens.
Such a rare thing to happen in Coronation Street.
But when it does happen, we love it. So please do more of it, Coronation Street. It's really good. And
did they used to do it in the old days, or is that just the old rose-tinted glasses talking?
It really did feel very natural, but it's also the sort of thing that, people snark about, like, it's just a bunch of people talking about middle-aged marital dysfunctions. But that's life, isn't it?
Well, neither of us are the sort of people to talk about that kind of thing with our friends.
I would never talk to I think I would find it disrespectful to you.
Yeah,
and I would not expect you to do the same.
Massively.
But if you have a different kind of relationship, some people do, and some people have very, very frank and graphic detail conversations with their friends. It's different people with different relationships.
Sally and Gail came across as like just having a bit of a whisper, and like they tell each other everything. It's like they're at a sleepover. I can imagine them now lying on their tummies, kicking their legs in the air, going, "Oh, what's Tim like in bed? Oh, you tell me, what is Michael Rodwell like?"
But in this case, it was important for Sally to talk it through with Gail.
Yeah, definitely.
So obviously, there's.
Although she did betray Tim's confidence, didn't she?
Well, no, okay. She only got told to say it, not to say anything after she'd already said something.
Oh, was it? I couldn't remember.
So I think she should have just said, sorry, I already have told Gail, but I won't tell anybody else.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, so that was that one. And then we have Tim and Steve, and they're just being a bit more cool about it, aren't they? Steve's...
by cool, are you using cool as a synonym for man?
No, it's just been... they weren't so gossipy about it. They didn't. Steve says
you're being very sexist.
Oh no, it's just I just got a feeling that the chat was different. Like Gail and Sally were having a little let's get in close and talk to each other. I know that you're using
specifically gendered words.
Sorry,
Sally and Gail were being very frank and open and a bit more free, and Tim and Steve were being slightly more. I don't know. I thought they were being very similar to Sally and Gail.
It just felt a little bit more like Sally and Gail were having a no. This felt like they were having a little quiet gossip, and Steve and Tim were just that
typical. So when women talk, it's gossip. When men talk, they're having a cool chat.
Well, they weren't even talking about the same thing necessarily. I mean, Tim's... I can't remember what Tim says exactly, but this is where Steve's recommending some books for the library or something, doesn't he?
Well, they're being a bit more
step.
Functional and practical about the situation, which is another sort of stereotype about, if you tell a man your problem, he'll try and fix it for you, and if you tell a woman your problem, she'll sympathise with you.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Steve says, according to the book that he got, all you need to do is listen to your partner. So, excellent advice there from Steve.
They talk through their issues of biscuits, don't they?
What did they do? Oh, yeah, what was it?
It was funny. They're talking about putting money in the kitty or something for biscuits.
Oh, yeah. And that's where they got the thing, I hear you, Tim. But, yeah, it was nicely done.
I don't know whether Tim actually confessed his mechanical issues.
No, I don't think he did.
So I think...
well, he couldn't have done, otherwise he'd have been massively hypocritical when he had to go at Sally in tonight's episode.
Because Steve was trying to help him with his communication problems, but I mean, his communication with his penis is the issue.
He did try to talk to it the other week, didn't he?
Get up!
Come on, you lazy thing. Finally, anyway, Tim and Sally talk. So I liked how they had the girls talking, the boys talking. End of the episode, Tim and Sally themselves talking, and he tries out Steve's "I hear you, Sally" tip, and it works. It basically ended in them agreeing to go and see Dr. Gaddas again. He says, "Just don't tell anybody about little Timmy not being able to perform." And Sally's like, "Whoops, it's too late." Well, she doesn't say that; she gives a bit of a look. But loved absolutely everything about that. I've seen some people didn't. I've seen some people did, but that was just
did they not
right
like it?
Or just about it was. Too silly, and it's like I don't watch Coronation Street to hear people talking about willies and stuff, which you don't, to be fair. It felt very kind of risque, but it wasn't really, was it? They were trying to be, hashtag speak and save about it.
Well, I made a joke on Twitter about oh god, the graphic details of Gail's sex life. No, it's funny to make a joke about it, but it also I really appreciate. Coronation Street taking, time to talk about sex lives of people who aren't just the sort of stereotypical young hot teens.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely.
Not that I want to hear about anybody's sex life, actually.
Well, I mean, we've moaned for a little while about the TMI TIM storyline, haven't we? With it, and I'm just glad that Elaine was nowhere to be found in this. Just imagine how awful and insufferable that she'd be. She would absolutely have ruined this. They did not need her there. But yeah, all of this sexy time with Sally and Tim, which has got a little bit wearing, was maybe worth it for today, because if it had been other couples that we hadn't been able to see all this, amorous activity between, maybe it wouldn't have felt quite so relevant or real or something. I mean,
the way Coronation Street sort of gives certain things more attention than others, you genuinely think that Sally and Tim were the only couple that ever shagged on Coronation Street, because you hardly ever hear anybody else
just does it privately.
Well, they don't talk about it. They don't sort of make eyes at each other or go to weddings and then escape off down.
Yeah, no, they don't.
I don't know where they go. I don't want to know.
So today's episode, things aren't too great between Tim and Sally. I nearly said it again. And the next day, they go out. They run into Debbie and Ronnie, and they said, "Oh, well, how come you're back from the hotel? What was wrong with that?" And then Sally makes out that Tim did his back in or something. So that's the story that they're going with. Tim pulled a muscle in his back, so they had to return home. And Debbie and Ron just have a bit of a laugh about it. Gail comes to the factory later on to see Sally, and this is where she does the Timpotence line. Sally's like, "Gail, you've got to not tell anybody about what's happened, and Tim said, she says, his Timpotence. And she says, look, I think you should put on a racy surprise for him. And both of us looked, and it did sound a little bit like put on a racist surprise.
I don't even want to speculate as to what.
Hello, it's me, Hitler. Surprise, Tim.
Oh no.
Sally has got an idea. So, in the pub later, we have Dev, who pretty much won the week just with one line, didn't she?
Handbag!
There was probably lots of Dev detractors rolling their eyes at that, but you've got to be a special kind of performer to be able to just say a line like that. And it's like
importance
brilliant.
Of being earnest out of nowhere.
Exactly.
I don't know why, he must have explained why he was quoting it. I don't know.
No, there's somebody giving him his handbag or something. It almost felt like something that Jimmy might have improvised on set.
But the thing is, though, I think that is like people of a certain generation. Like sometimes my dad will just say it out of nowhere. If you give him a handbag, he'll go, a handbag. I just think.
What is the context? Because I've not seen the importance of being earnest.
The baby was hidden.
What baby? Is it about a missing baby?
I'm not going to explain the plot of the importance of being earnest to you. On a podcast, but baby was discovered in a handbag.
Okay, they did a show of importance of being earnest in the 70s on Coronation Street, didn't they?
Yeah.
They had Emily Bishop and Ernest Bishop putting it on and everything. So he must have had a Coronation Street character using that line on Coronation Street before in the play. But I don't know. I digress. Just any chance to sing Dev's praises, I am there. So they're in the pub, having and then we have the scene of Steve and Tim and Dev spying on Gail on his doorbell cam, which was brilliantly performed by Helen Worth, wasn't it? She's kind of going up there, looking a bit like, what's this here? And then, who was it? Tim calls out, uses the microphone thing, says, hello, Gail, and then just a shock reaction, and she kind of looking baffled.
Off.
She does, she's just like, I'm getting out of here, scurries off down the street.
We're not often fans of Batty Gail, but that was
Batty Gail was just right this week.
It was funny. Are we just being hypocrites because it's only funny when we say it is?
Well, no, it was funny when the writing around it is funny, and it's not just her saying, "Oh, I gave the whole house a bottoming today," or whatever. But it's just silly. I'd still rather have sensible Gail back and missed this week's scenes than have the whole 10 years of stupid Gail and then getting it. But I don't know. That's just me. But I thought Gail was good today. But even then, at the end, when she comes in and spies on, who is it that she overhears? We'll get there in a minute. Tim then spies on Sally and Ronnie having a secret conversation through the doorbell. Sally's got Ronnie talking in the pub earlier on, and he's like, I want you to do something for me. And so Tim sees them talking outside number one, immediately jumps to the wrong conclusion, of course, marches over there and punches Uncle Ronnie right in the nose. He's a pretty sturdy guy, is Uncle Ronnie, but so he must have had quite a strong punch there.
Ronnie's back was put out by this so much so that he keeps having to re-establish the fact that were it not for the fact that here, insert reason here, he would have either, lamped Tim or not fallen over. You know what I mean? He keeps going, if I was 10 years younger, mate, you're lucky I'm not angry anymore. I used to be really angry. You're lucky I've got a really sturdy jaw. Or didn't he? He wouldn't shut up about if only you're just really lucky, Tim.
Yeah.
It's like, really, Ronnie? Because you just seem to take it on the chin, literally.
You're lucky I'm just pleased to be invited to be in an episode for the first time in 6 months, and I was in quite a good mood, actually.
Yeah.
He punches Uncle Ronnie. He's absolutely fuming about it. Sally says, look, you've had a misunderstanding, Tim, a classic Corrie misunderstanding. I offered to donate to the charity, this bistro charity. I can't remember what they were raising money for
was
now.
It for
from the raffle. Oh yeah, that's right. It was Ollie's charity. I'm going to donate to Ollie's charity if I can have these VIP match tickets that nobody won on Monday night.
No, I don't.
That's not how raffles work, Sally.
That's just an auction then.
Yeah, and why didn't anybody win the raffle? I don't know.
That's a poorly run raffle if nobody won.
The only people that they were able to sell raffle tickets to clearly were Steve and Sally and Tim. And
that's not how you play. That's not how you run a raffle. You put tickets in that people buy. You don't just go 1 to 100, but we only sold 20 tickets. I don't know.
No, you do. And they say we're going to draw out the third prize, which is the
main prize,
the doorbell. Steve, well done. I'm going to draw out the second prize here. It's Sally and Tim, well done. Just going to draw out the winning prize. There aren't any raffle tickets left in the tombola. Oh well, we'll just have to hold on to it.
I'll just keep this.
Stick on eBay.
It'd probably be worth more after the match because it'd be more rare.
Very good point. So anyway, Sally marches Tim home, gives him a good telling off, and he says, look, I just don't want people to find out about my impotency. I'm really paranoid about it. And Sally's like, don't worry, Tim, no one's going to work it out. Just keep it quiet. It's going to be between just us. Have a word with Ronnie and smooth things over with him, though. So meanwhile, Steve's with Ronnie in the pub, and they talk about Tim's bad back and stuff, and I can't remember the exact things they were saying, but whatever it was, this is when Gail walks in and does her...
She overhears them going, oh, it's a good job, like, it affects us all as we get older, we just need to understand that these things happen and it's not within our control.
And this is where Helen Worth wasn't on top form with her performance. She wasn't.
I'd like to see you do better.
She wasn't. She was just going, oh, a shock look. He was just overdoing it, really over-egging it. So I can say it.
Well, you get a job as a director if you're so good.
Don't tell me. You could have done it better. I'm not an actor. I'm a teacher, and I could have done better than Daniel did in that interview. I'll tell you that. So she thinks that they're talking about his impotency there, and then kind of strides over and says, oh, yes, it's so good that Tim's been open about his intimate problems like this, isn't it? She doesn't say exactly what it is.
No, she just says it's the first step. You lads all being able to talk about things like that. Yeah. And they're like, what the hell are she talking about?
So Tim goes over to the pub to apologise to Ronnie, and he's pretty fine with it and says, look, whatever's bothering you and Sally, you just need to sort it out and fast. By the way, here's some VIP tickets. Did Sally even have to pay for them in the end?
He's like,
all it takes is punching him in the face and you get some tickets, then you don't have to pay for Ollie's charity. Brilliant.
Ronnie's like, to be honest, I don't believe in charity anyway, so you have these tickets.
Yeah, Gail sidles up to Tim in the pub later and says, look, I know about your little problem. Oh, no, I can't remember what she says. She kind of mentions that she's talked to Ronnie and Steve about it, but it becomes evident quite quickly.
She doesn't say she's spoken to the lads about it.
Doesn't she? I can't remember. No. But however it happens, Tim realises that Sally has told Gail, and she says, yes, she did, but she saw me to secrecy, so it's fine. So he goes home, has a massive go at Sally, who tries to defend herself, saying, look, Gail's my oldest friend, won't tell anyone, honestly. And Tim says, no, not your secret to share. This is my problem, my Winky. Nobody else says, oh, he's mad by the end of the episode. Oh. And I think he had every right to be honest.
It's not a nice thing to have. If you're a bloke, it must feel incredibly
emasculating,
embarrassing, and you don't want anyone to know.
No,
and it's not like, I mean, I understand, this is the thing, right? It would benefit the world if we could all be more open about it and talk about our problems a bit more. But to be the first person is a big sacrifice to make. It shouldn't be on any one individual to be like, I'm going to take it on the chin for everybody else. I'm going to be the one that talks about this openly and destigmatises it, because it might not actually go the way you want.
Yeah, Sally should have maybe thought, but I think it was still within her character, as was shouting out about his willy in the the hospital room. But she just needs to eat a slice of humble pie. To be honest, I'm sure they'll be fine.
Is it an aphrodisiac? I don't think it is.
she doesn't need the aphrodisiac. She's already got raging with hormones.
She's sex mad, apparently.
Yeah, apparently.
Nymphomaniac.
Yeah, that's anyway. Anything else for this one?
Didn't Gail Sally tell Gail about all of this, the outfits and the things? You said that earlier, didn't you?
She talks about the Lucky Burglar. That was brilliant. She said,
was it sexy estate agent?
She basically revealed off all the characters that we've seen them role playing as in the last.
We haven't seen Lucky Burglar, which makes me wonder how explicit it really is.
I'm sure that must have been one that Gail and Michael must have played together.
Gail's like, yeah, I know Lucky Burglar. Do you think I met Michael?
Their whole relationship exactly was Lucky Burglar. That was so funny.
There must be a lot of nudity involved in that one.
Do you reckon?
Oh, you've broken in, and I'm in bed naked. You're lucky I don't have my truncheon on me.
Why would he have a truncheon?
No, her. She'd have a truncheon beaten to death.
Oh, yeah, under the bed. Anyway.
That's what's lucky.
That's
what I assume, anyway.
I thought that was very, very funny.
I thought it was funny. It was silly.
I'll very openly say you can't ever predict what's going to make me laugh.
No.
Some weeks I might have been watching this, rolling my eyes at it, but not this week. Well done, everybody involved. I very much enjoyed that. Did you enjoy it, Jen? Even though it was a Tim story?
I was
You don't
disappointed
hate
that he
him as
didn't
much.
die. I was like, he's ordered Viagra off the internet and he ignored the thing that was like,
Horned himself to death.
don't have this if you got heart problems. He's like,
Died of
don't
an
care about
exploding
that.
penis.
You can get all kinds of things off the internet. It was quite funny. I thought it was a bit weird that Sally was kind of insinuating that is something inherently dodgy about buying pharmaceuticals off the internet, and nobody challenged this in the hospital, because actually you can buy things over the counter prescriptions you can get really easily. Like I got some stuff that I normally get on prescription.
My mail-in. Thanks, Gemma. You just told everybody now.
Well, I've got to take something, and it's annoying because the way they sell it, the way they do it on prescription, it's more expensive than getting it over the counter. But what I use it for is not the normal use of it. So when I got my prescription, I had to say it was for something else, not a prescription, but I had to get the thing, and it's like, we can write to your GP and tell them that we've provided you with this, or you can do it yourself. I was like, I'll do it, don't worry.
I just think that going online, clicking on a little sidebar advert and ordering anything
ordering
sexy,
off an ad,
not the
sexy
best
things.
Don't think that's something that I would do.
But you
not
can,
that I need to, ladies.
Oh no, this is adding to the stigma. I did look it up to see whether you can get Viagra delivered, and you can. So
nice research on Coronation Street scriptwriting team.
You can get it.
Can you
It's
actually get next day
$19.99.
Viagra?
I don't know if you can get it next day, but it's $19.99 from Superdrug.
Can you get an Amazon button for it?
You get
Just
one
put
of
it next
those.
to the bed.
Subscribe and save.
Yeah.
Most customers buy this every week.
Do you get it? Do you get an Amazon drone flying across, just dropping these pills in through
You
the
get
bedroom
an SAS SWAT
windows?
squad come in. SWAT squad?
Right.
Yes.
Gemma, let's move on. This is far too racy, far too inappropriate for this family podcast. It's time to talk about drug-addled skanks.
That's right.
And happy babby baby.
No, we only like couples who have sex entirely one time to conceive a child, and that's the only reason, and then never ever speak to each other again, like Imran and Abby. The perfect couple.
Go for it. What's been going on with them this week?
On Monday, we've got the naming ceremony, don't we? Alfie's
the
little
not
naming
christening.
ceremony, where Imran has got himself a double book, because he's also got to have a meeting with Adam and Evil Elliot about, not Adam, Abby and Elliot, about his naughty shenanigans. So
it wasn't proper double book, was it? It was, the meeting was first. We kind of predicted last week that there's going to be which one do I go to? Or, I'm going to be late for the naming ceremony, or something like that. But it didn't happen.
There was still things afoot, but it wasn't what we predicted.
Yeah, I think the main reason why I was able to go to both is because the meeting with Elliot had lasted all of 30 seconds. But...
Yeah. So, they're all getting ready for it. Kevin's talking to Abby about this meeting, and she is like, he's toast. He can't talk his way out of this. So they have the meeting, and Abby's full of confidence. And Imran's like, look, hurry up, because I've got stuff to do. And they're like, no, listen here, buddy. You're in trouble. But then when Elliot and Abby sort of reveal their trump card, which is Ben's like, don't know what you're talking about. And Imran's like, don't know what you're talking about. You haven't got any evidence. You can't prove it. And Abby threatens Ben, and then Imran says, that's witness intimidation. And Elliot's like, oh dear, this isn't going very well. And he leaves. Because it turns out, I don't know if this has already happened or not. Oh no. That
was a surprise for the scene.
Okay, right. So in the cafe later, Elliot says, look, Abby, it is actually witness intimidation. You can't threaten witnesses. It'll get you in trouble. And don't blackmail Ben with the video, because that's also really bad, apparently. He said, it's over. Oh dear.
He gave up pretty easily, didn't he?
Elliot's a bit of a bloody pushover for all the money.
I wouldn't want him being my lawyer.
And also, I do feel bad
Gives up at the first hurdle.
For Abby in this situation, because Imran did screw her over legally, and then Elliot's like, we can't play dirty. I just couldn't do it. It's like, come on, get yourself a guy who's going to get his hands.
He wants was it Miles? Was it Ray's dodgy lawyer?
He wants somebody. She wants somebody who's going to fight properly.
Yeah,
fight dirty.
Fight properly. You mean fight dirty? Yeah. Like all good lawyers.
Toyah and Imran invite Leanne to the hotel because they're having it at the Chariot Square.
They obviously did a buy one get one half price deal at Carriot Square when they got married there a few weeks ago.
If I owned a hotel that did functions, I would probably give you 80%. I'll give you 20% discount for your naming ceremony if you have your wedding. But normally doesn't happen like the next week.
No. I just want to know what Debbie's got over like all the other hotel and function room owners in the whole of Weatherfield, considering that absolutely every event that goes on happens there. I think that she's got the goss on. That's why we never see her on the programme. She's too busy investigating everyone else and
maybe
and all the deets.
Maybe Toyah and Imran won this naming ceremony in a raffle.
Yeah, maybe maybe they did.
So Abby chases after Ben to ask him what the hell's going on, and he tells her that he's been offered a job at the lawyer's office, and he's like, sorry I screwed you over, but I need to do this for myself. He's basically out for himself, doesn't care about anybody, and now he's kind of been bribed with a job by Imran to keep his mouth shut. Abby's like, gah! She watches the Batsbys getting into their car. Is that car gonna appear?
We'll talk about a trailer later. There's not much news this week, okay. I'll save it.
The ceremony is getting ready to begin, and who shows up but Abby, who says she's changed her mind. And every time Toyah sees Abby on the show at the moment, she's like, oh, Abby, no, we're happy to see you. Yes, come in. You're very welcome.
But she's not like putting it on or anything, is she? She's genuinely like, oh yes, we're all a happy family here. She's just blissfully, she's got baby brain, hasn't she? She's addled by love for Alfie.
She genuinely believes she's telling the truth when she says, I want you to be a part of Alfie's life.
Yeah.
But I do think that neither her nor Imran are actually making an effort to include her, because she's not coming over to visit or holding the baby or looking after him or doing anything. Like if I had a newborn baby and I could give it to somebody for like an hour, even if it is a drug-addled strumpet, I think I'd be like, great.
Well, Toyah she does on Wednesday, doesn't she? When she lets Abby go around the park with him.
And what happens next? Right, so Imran's like, he's like, come over here, Abby. I need to talk to you.
Did you say that Abby had arrived at the ceremony? Did I miss that?
Yeah, I think so. Abby changed her mind, I said.
Oh, yeah.
And Abby's like, look, I'm not here for a fight. I am accepting what's happening. I don't want to risk losing Alfie like I had the other kids. I'm going to play nice. So, the ceremony starts and they like get Abby to do a reading and everything. And then the celebrant does her stuff and then it's over and Abby's all friendly and Toyah says, thanks for coming, which is a bit weird to say to the mother of the baby. And then she says, do you mind if I take a photo? And Toyah's like, oh, that's fine. I get offended if she asks me that. I'm like, why wouldn't you be able to take a photo of your own kid? Why are you asking me? Like I'm stopping you.
It's just a weird legal situation they're in, isn't it? And Abby was just asking because she was trying to come across as being
she's
so
trying
kind
to
of
be
bowing and scraping, wasn't
she is being overly, like you say. And I
just
think
so that she can come
Toyah hasn't noticed.
Yeah, just so that she can come
But I think it would get my back up a little bit.
Yeah.
So she's like, okay, and then she takes the photo. She's like, Toyah, do you mind? Can you just hold up this piece of white card for me behind his head? Thank you. Yes. I don't.
You said it sounded like people were eating crunchy carrots.
It was like. So she takes some photos of him on her phone, and Imran sees her snapping away and comes over and says, "What the hell are you doing?" And she says, "Oh, Toyah said it was okay. And we should act civil, shouldn't we?" And then he turns away and she's like, ha ha ha, I have these photos, but what are they for?
There were a couple of moments this week where Abby gives little triumphant smirks. There was this time, and then after the whole taking the baby around the red rack ruse on Wednesday, where she was obviously just trying to get herself into the situation where she gets blamed for something but says, no, I'm totally innocent. And then
I don't want
she can snatch the baby next week.
Yeah, I don't want to be too... Do I want to be too grim about this?
Yes.
Okay, right. If this might trigger some people. It's a true crime fact.
Oh, Michael Bailey loves those.
Now, you probably all know about the Jim Jonestown massacre, where they drank the Kool-Aid, but it wasn't Kool-Aid, it was Flavour Aid.
Yes.
And so basically it was like a mass suicide event where everybody drank this poison and died.
Right.
Or they were forced to. Now, what they used to do, and they do this in other sometimes hostage situations, and it is really sad and horrible, but they go through drills or like rehearsals. So they would have done this before in Jonestown, where everybody drank the poison but nobody died, to kind of like desensitize you so that you think it's not going to happen. So this is what I think Abby's doing. I think that she's desensitizing Toyah and Imran by pushing and pushing and pushing, so that eventually when she snatches him, they won't suspect anything. That's what I think she's doing. And I'm sorry that that's the only twisted example that I could think of, but I can't think of any other real life example where I know that that's happened.
She's a sneak, isn't she?
She is a sneaky snake, but she's also his mum. And a mother's love, Michael. So, the chatting, Abby reveals that she knows that Ben is working for him, but she's like, you know what, it's fine. I know that you're evil, but I know you're doing it for good reason, so I don't mind. And she brings out this cuddly rabbit with a heart on it that says Mummy. And she's like, can I give it to him, please? And Toya's like, oh, okay. And then she leaves, but Imran looks worried.
He's very suspicious. Toya's just completely fallen hook, line and sinker for Abby's
I think
ruse, hasn't she?
Imran
But
is
Imran's like,
right to be suspicious, but he's also paranoid.
Yeah, exactly. He's feeling mega guilty about having perjured in court, so he's just ready. He's probably
he knows
lying
how
awake
dirty.
at night thinking someone's going to
because he
catch
knows,
me, and she knows.
I've played dirty, so why wouldn't she?
Yeah, what's her plan? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what happens when you live a life of an outlaw. So they get back home later, and Toya's like, "Oh, it's so good, everything's settled down." And everyone says, "Do you know what though? Abby was a bit suspicious." And Toyah is saying, "No, she was fine. I don't know what you mean." Then we catch up with Abby, who's meeting up with somebody, passing them the envelope of photos that she's taken. So,
she's
just the same way that Tim got a next day delivery of Viagra, she got same day delivery of photos, obviously.
Oh yeah, she did.
She
She
must
must
have
have
gone
gone to one
down
of
to
those
Tesco.
hour places.
Do they still even... I mean, we got one at Tesco, didn't we?
Yeah.
Do you reckon she also got a deal on a few jigsaws and some tea coasters?
Yeah, a little mug with the picture of Alfie on as well.
So she gives the photo to this guy to buy something. And he says, this could get you in trouble. And she says, I'm already in prison. This is me breaking out. And I thought that was a good line.
I did as well.
Very good line. Good job, Corey. On Wednesday, Ben tells Imran that he bumped into Abby yesterday, and she's fuming about the fact that he was taken on in the office, and Imran is kind of disappointed about her being mad about it.
Yeah, he was, although he was suspicious of her on Monday, he was kind of still hopeful that, maybe she's not maybe
lying.
I'm wrong and she has turned over a new leaf, but clearly not.
Oh, this is so dramatic. Abby sees Toyah in the cafe and she's acting all nice to her, so Toyah invites her to join her for a nice drink. And then Abby tells Toyah that Alfie's looking happy, and she says, oh, Seb was a good baby too. I didn't deserve him either. That was really sad. Toyah says, look, isn't it nice that we're being all civil and everything? And Abby says, yeah, can I take him for a walk? And Toyah's like, oh, no, I don't think, yes, actually...
I'm glad that Toyah didn't say... yes, straight away at least. She did have some kind of...
What do you mean? Well, Toyah says, look, I'd like a walk too. Why don't we go together?
Yeah, but she only says that because she knows that it's not really a good idea for Abby to be left alone.
Well, Abby says, forget it then. Don't worry about it. I don't care. And then she says, I just wanted to spend some time with my son.
And that's what tugs on Toyah's heartstrings. Because when Imran turns up later, Abby is away.
Right, so here we go. Do you think that Toyah was wrong to let Abby take the baby?
Yes. But maybe I only think that because I know what Abby's up to.
Yeah, I think that's true. Because really... But the other thing... Okay, so this is my thoughts. I would hate to be Toyah and look at Abby and say, no, you're not allowed your child. Well, after all the things that she said to her, like, you'll be a part of Alfie's life, you're his mum, anytime, blah, 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 whatever you like, it's important for him, yada, yada, yada. And then she says, can I take him for a walk? And you say, no.
It's a bit like, when you move house and you let your cat out for the first time. It's got to happen, hasn't it? Abby's got to take Alfie out for a walk or something on her own for the first time. But whenever you let your cat out for the first time, it's always a bit nervous. And this is like you're letting your cat... Not just you're letting your cat out, but the neighbourhood is filled with rabid coyotes or something.
And it's a baby, not a cat.
And yeah, exactly. So I absolutely think Toyah was right to be not suspicious, hesitant, I suppose, about
well,
doing it.
Well, it's also not her baby. So it's like if it was someone else's cat and you let someone else's cat out, even if you like the cat.
Anyway, I can't remember what the legal status is at the moment. It's still just Imran has been awarded custody.
Yeah.
She's not officially a stepmum or foster mum or anything like that at the moment, is she? But
Toyah
isn't, no.
Well, she's Alfie's stepmum. Yeah, she's his stepmum because she's married to.
Oh yeah, of course.
But I don't know if that's illegal.
Does that give her any rights?
I don't know if that's illegal.
Yeah, no, I don't know then. But it was probably she shouldn't have made that decision without consulting Imran first. But then Imran would have just come in and
should have had a conversation about what access Abby's actually allowed to have. I know this has all moved pretty quickly, and I guess they haven't had a chance. But I guess the situation is that Abby has no access, and it's entirely down to Toyah and Imran's discretion what access she does get.
Yeah, although they have been saying, well, she can have access, so they must have had some kind of conversation about what that's going to look like.
But you would think that the courts would have kind of helped them out in a way where they would say, yeah, we can have a supervise with somebody.
Yeah,
that would be so. That's the best way.
That's a nice in between.
The best thing would have been for maybe Toyah to say, yeah, cool, why don't you go for a walk with... Who's a neutral party? I don't know.
Ronnie Bailey.
Ronnie Bailey needs a walk. Look at him. He needs to go out for a walk. He has to be exercised twice a day. He's a big lad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they haven't got that far. They just got as far as Abby guilt-tripping Toyah into letting her take her own baby for a walk. Imran turns up later and he's like, oh, where's the baby? She says, oh, what if he's just taken him to the Red Wreck? And
what?
Imran just blows up. He's like, she could be halfway to the airport by now. And Toyah
Imran's incoming.
Totally overreacting. And then Abby returns and Imran storms over. Abby defends herself, saying she hasn't done anything wrong. And she just had her phone on silent because she was feeding the ducks.
That was a weak
Suspicious.
Excuse. I don't know whether that was weak script writing or whether it was just a massively weak excuse from Abby. I don't know who to blame for that one. But
well, this is the thing, maybe she is just getting them used to her making bad decisions.
Yeah, maybe.
And being a bit erratic and not being able to contact her while she's out with a baby. Because they phoned her up lots of times and she wouldn't answer.
Yeah.
And she says, oh, you should trust me. And Imran apologised, saying, oh, maybe I did overreact.
Yeah, and this is when Abby walks off again and turns around and she gives the great... It's a tiny smirk. It wasn't just a ha-ha-ha. It was just like a look of... like a triumphant gleam in her eye.
She's sown the discontent.
This is exactly what I wanted to happen. I wanted to make them think that I'd taken the baby and then I'm in the right. I got to be all righteous about it and say, how could you even think that of me? And and next week or whenever I get my passport, I am going to snatch the baby. And they won't have see it
any the wiser.
No, and literally she'll be able to say, can I take them for a walk? And they're like, I'm not sure. Oh, but last week you weren't trusting of me and I brought the baby back. You've got nothing to worry about. Very clever move by Abby.
Yep. Back at home later, Imran says to Toyah, I will promise I'll do better, I'll try harder. I overreacted. And then Abby is on the phone to her dodgy friend trying to get these passports, but they're taking a while. Yeah,
the end of Wednesday's episode was the first time it was properly revealed that it was passports that she's going for, even though it was fairly obvious as if you thought about it for not very long.
I was baffled when she was taking photos, like, what could it be? I don't know.
Setting up a Facebook page for him already.
She's putting them on Instagram.
Alfie Webster hasn't been taken on Twitter yet. So she wants to get that set up and give him a profile picture, maybe. I don't know. It's I was really disappointed that this wasn't on Friday because it's building up to be so exciting, isn't it? I'm absolutely loving this, and I'm not feeling bad about any of the characters. I don't like how they've made Imran a bit of a villain in the last few weeks, but even he was understandably suspicious of Abby.
It's kind of funny how Imran is like the unreasonable one here, But actually, he's the only one who has an inkling of what Abby is capable of, really. But it is just his paranoia. It's not because he has any special knowledge.
Yeah.
It's because he knows he would do the same thing.
Yeah. What do you think we're supposed to be thinking about Abby at the moment? Because, in recent weeks, it's been like, oh, poor Abby, she's had the baby taken away from her. Oh, she's got Roy on her side. Viewers sympathise with Abby. And this week, she's just blatantly scheming to run away with this kid again. Are we supposed to be cheering her on and going, yeah, go Abby, get that passport.
I don't know, because
whisk Alfie away from those
obviously
evil baby snatching vegetarians.
It's obviously a bad idea, because if she's not allowed legally, and
not legally allowed to kidnap, no.
But the thing is, though,
You need to get a licence for that, Abby.
Once she does this, there's no way back for her, really, to get Alfie at all.
No.
So what will happen?
What's her long-term plan supposed to be for this? Is she just planning to disappear off to Spain or something? I don't know. But I don't know whether she's thought about that. But if she's thought enough about the plan that she's going to do that little move on Wednesday, she's not just acting on impulse, is she?
Well, see, this is the thing. It's a kind of a plot.
Yeah.
That she's cooked up, and it's not going to look good in court.
No, not at all. If it gets.
Is it worse than lying about her buying drugs?
I don't know. They really are all as bad as each other. Apart from, I still think Toyah. And sorry again to everyone who hates Toyah at the moment.
I don't see Toyah's done anything wrong. She's just too trusting, and she believes Imran, and she wants a baby. And I'm still not going to hold that against anybody.
People are still criticising her for thinking that she can make decisions about somebody else's baby. But she kind of legally can now, like you said, if she's married to the spouse, to the parent who has access.
Who are you to decide this or that or the other thing? Well, who is anybody? We have a legal system, and the legal system has come up with this. And I know that it was because Imran tricked them, but I also think if Imran had not done that, it would have come up the same way.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone can convince me that the court, which already decided not to give access to Abby, even with their most earnest protestations, why would they then turn around and give the baby to Abby not like 3 weeks later when Imran is obviously a far more capable parent?
Yeah.
I just don't.
I think that Abby's just taking such a huge risk here, because if she does snatch this kid, and if she does get caught, which is a fairly high probability, what are the chances after that of her being rewarded it again? Like Toyah said, when Abby tried to take the baby, 2 weeks ago maybe, from the hospital, and Toyah said, if I hadn't come and stopped you, you'd have stolen Alfie and you would have been caught and you'd have never seen him again. Well, Abby obviously didn't listen to a word she said there, because she's just planning to do exactly the same thing again.
I think
she's going to put a red hoodie on and think that that's a good enough surprise to get her away, but it didn't work last time. CCTV. Steve's doorbell camera's going to pick up you up on stealing this baby, Abby.
If you're an Abby fan, I think you forgive her anything.
We are Abby fans, aren't we? We're massive Abby
fans.
But
like realistically,
in real life, yeah,
you wouldn't get away with this. It's just not. You wouldn't.
But I mean, people could quite rightly saying, well, that she's not stealing anybody. That baby is hers. It's just the mother's love. But unfortunately, in these situations, you have to go through the more legal routes.
I know, but the thing, like, I know people say, oh, nobody's got the right to whatever. But like I said before, you're going to bet a baby's life on it.
Yeah, and that's what she's doing. Really. She's risking a baby's. Yeah,
we accept that women, mothers, a baby is almost always better off with their mother, and we would hope that mothers would, be the mums they should be to these babies. But we accept, legally speaking, that there are times when the mother is not. Is like a danger to their baby, and everybody knows that happens.
Yeah.
And it's sad, and it's arguable as to whether or not Abby is that person. I would say she isn't really.
She's not been able to prove it yet.
But I do think the fact that she's deciding to try and steal Alfie shows that she's unhinged. Because she's not thinking straight.
No, she's not at all. Because
she's risking her future with the baby.
Yeah.
you know, is this in Alfie's best interest to be stolen and taken to another country? No.
Yeah, or to a little hovel or something.
Who knows what's going to happen to the poor kid? How is she going to get him out of the country? Is she going to take him on a plane, or is she going to try and smuggle him in a boat, or what the hell is she going to do?
Don't need to smuggle him because she's got a shiny new passport for him.
Yeah, but the thing is though, once she goes through any kind of customs or whatever, they'll pick up on the fact that she's gone through.
Yeah, she's banking on the fact that nobody's going to notice that they're gone by the time that before the child.
How quickly from Manchester can you get? Because like from here, from Southampton, you can get to France pretty quick, but from Manchester,
they've got Manchester Airport, haven't they?
Yeah, they go. She'd have to go on the airport.
There, wait
I suppose
for a
that'd be
plane.
pretty quick.
Hmm.
I'm just thinking, I don't know, I think it's a bit more casual when you go on the ferry.
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know how quickly. So we've got an airport and we've got like the ports and things. I don't know.
Okay, let's move on to the Fizz story then and see what has been going on at number 9 this week. Fizz and Phil. Inside number 9 this week. Fizz and Phil are going out to speed dial tonight. What a treat. We keep forgetting it's on, don't we? So Fizz says, I'm a bit worried. I'm meeting his friends that they were meeting up with. I'll get a bit flustered meeting new people sometimes. I know exactly what that's like. Fizz, you did very well. You weren't on your phone all night, so you did automatically better than me. Before going into work, though, Fizz says to Evelyn, can you look after the girls this evening? So,
can you look after the girls?
At work later, Fizz tells Sean about this meeting coming up, and he says, oh, what are you going to wear about it? She says, you're going to get changed, because she's like, oh, I thought I'd already dressed up nice today. So he puts his foot in it a little bit. So she's already going to this dinner, like, feeling a bit self-conscious about how she looks. And she rushes off to see if Maria can zhuzh her up or anything at the barber's. So that she goes along to trim up north. Evelyn strides in there for her own appointment as well. Turns out that Fizz has taken her slot. I didn't really think that this scene added anything plot-wise to it. It was kind of nice to see another trim up north scene. Having Evelyn in there, probably for the first time ever, was great.
Cut for Canada.
I think that could very well be a cut for Canada scene. Yeah, let's see. Maria kind of says, oh, I'd change my blouse if I were you, or something, or Evelyn does, I can't remember. But anyway, they go to the bistro and or speed dial. Was it bistro or speed dial? I've written speed dial at one place and I said bistro somewhere else. So I got 50% chance I'm getting it right, haven't I? I don't know. Yeah, I think it was.
Maybe
actually.
It was Speed Bistro.
Anyway, Phil's mates seemed lovely at first, but this guy giving Fizz a bit of a funny look. I recognise you from somewhere. Were you on the front of the TV guide this week? Yeah, that's it. So the meal carries on. The guy insists he recognises her, and then bingo, he remembers he was on the prosecuting team of her trial. He's like, you're John Stave's wife. Fizz is not happy to have this be dragged up yet again. And the wife of this chap says, Graham, my husband, he struggles to leave his job at the door. So sorry about this.
She tries to smooth it over, but then she puts her foot in it herself.
Yeah, she says, it's not every day, though, that you meet the ex-spouse of a murderer.
It kind of is if you're a prosecutor.
Yeah, that's true. But they totally should have had some other characters just in the background of that scene.
Like
if they'd had Gail and Eileen at the bar just as a bit of an Easter egg, that would have been hilarious.
That would have been funny, because it is quite often on Coronation Street you meet the ex-spouse of a murderer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Fizz she can't cope with this and disappears off. Gets found by Tyrone in Victoria Gardens later, who sees she's upset, so takes her back home to number 9. And it turns out that Fizz... What am I talking about?
Fizz had
never told Phil about John, her ex-husband murderer. She said, I don't want to risk it. Don't want it to come up again. That was the past piece of my life that I thought the doors had closed.
Now, I found this so intriguing, because we take it for granted on Coronation Street. All these characters have these really complicated and melodramatic histories. But in real life, how famous would she be for being the wife of John Stape? Because she was involved in some of his crimes.
She was. I mean,
And how much came out during the trial? That's another really interesting thing. Did people actually work out that she was involved in any way?
I think they must have done. So for anybody that wasn't watching back in the day, yeah, she did. She had a baby in prison.
Yeah, that's
she?
what I
She had
thought.
Hope in prison. So John Stape was Fiz's husband. He was a teacher at her school when she was growing up, so there was a bit of an age gap there. Was there?
He was a DJ.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so they get together. He's an English teacher, and he gets himself into a variety of unfortunate mishaps,
scrapes,
whereby characters die or get killed. So you got Colin Fishwick, who was another teacher at his school that was away in Canada, then came back to Weatherfield. John had assumed the identity of Colin Fishwick, hadn't he? Because he loved teaching so much, but he'd already been struck off for kidnapping Rosie
Daniel's
Webster.
Like, can't relate.
And Colin's round his house one night and then collapses of a heart attack. John wraps his body up in a carpet with his other teaching friend called Charlotte Hoyle.
You can't trust these teachers.
You can't. We're all what we get up to.
It's one step away from murdering.
So they wrap him up in a carpet and transport him round to the factory, which is just getting renovated at the time because it got blown up in the underworld siege. I'm remembering all this off the top of my head, so I might be wrong here.
Okay, well, you make it
Colin Fishwick's body is underneath Underworld.
Yeah.
Cut to a little bit later when they have to dig up some of Underworld for whatever reason, subsidence or something. And John's like, they're going to find the body. He gets himself a job on the building team at Underworld. And in the middle of the night, has to take Colin's body from out of there. But sadly, he is disturbed by Fizz, who's wondering what you're going over to the factory doing late at night. So now Fizz is involved. I think they then together go and chuck him in the canal. Is that right? I think I'm remembering this rightly. So Fizz kind of has to be involved. Cut to the tram crash in December 2010, and Charlotte Hoyle is round with John, kind of saying, we were involved in Colin's murder. I'm going to go and tell everybody. John clocks her on the head with a hammer, and that is his first proper murder. He then drags her body out to the tram wreckage by the bistro to make it look like she was involved in that, takes her to the hospital, and I think he was the one that said, oh yeah, turn off her life support or something like that because her parents are there. He was also involved in the death of Colin Fishwick's mum, Joy, although that was a kind of mistake because he goes round to her house for something, I can't remember what, but he's kind of sneaking round there, and somebody comes to her front door and he puts his hand over her mouth to try and stop her from calling out, doesn't he? And then when he kind of looks down, it turns out that he suffocated her to death because she was quite old and frail. So that is how John has got the blood of two people on his hands and was also involved in carting off the body of Colin Fishwick. Fizz got the blame for this, I think, because didn't John do a runner, I think? I can't remember, but yeah, Fizz ended up in prison for this. I think then John came round and confessed his crimes. He goes... Did he confess his crimes? I'm not too sure about what happened towards the end, but he's dead now, everybody, so it's okay. So yes, he is a notorious killer, not necessarily a serial killer because he's really only responsible for the deaths of two people. But yeah, you'd think that maybe Fizz might have a bit of a reputation, and the fact that Phil's been on the scene for a good 6+ months at this point, you'd have thought that somebody would have mentioned it. But the thing is, Phil did know about it turns out, didn't he? We don't know how he knows about it, and what's going on with this envelope in today's episode maybe makes him look a little bit suspicious, and he gave a few kind of I am a suspicious character, please note looks towards the camera in today's episodes. But yeah, anyway, Fizz is the wife of him, just like Eileen is the wife of a killer, as is Carla.
So
did I miss anything? You're just looking at John's
The only thing you missed was that Fizz helps John chuck Colin's body in the canal.
Yes.
But when she follows John back to Charlotte Hoyle's house, and he had tied up Chesney and Charlotte Hoyle's parents in the basement.
He was a bit nutty,
and
wasn't
he runs off, and Fizz, he asked Fizz to come with him, but she won't.
Okay.
And then he takes Hope.
Oh, okay. So I remember.
And then he visits Fizz in hospital later and gives Hope back.
Oh, yeah,
and then
that's
he jumps
when he
off
jumps
the
off
roof.
the roof.
Then he disappears. Then he comes back and kidnaps Rosie again.
Yeah, I did a pretty good job there, I think.
I think in somewhere like Weatherfield, because Phil is supposedly from Weatherfield because he's a councillor. He was on the council doing something. So I think in Weatherfield you'd be super famous because you were involved in these crimes and you also gave birth to the murderer's child.
Yeah, like what?
Would you recognise her face?
She's got quite a...
She's very distinctive, isn't she? She's
look.
got really beautiful big hair.
Yeah.
You think you'd remember that?
You'd think that one of his council mates
would be like, why are you dating her?
Yeah.
You know that she's a murderer's wife?
But anyway, it doesn't matter. For whatever reason, he did know about her. But I think Fizz was maybe being a bit naive to think that he wouldn't find that out
but
about
like
her.
how... But like... If this was real... There'd be guided tours of this place because you'd be like, that's the wife. That's the wife of the guy.
Like you get your Jack the Ripper tours of London.
Yeah.
This would be the
That's
Weatherfield
the wife of the guy that was
tour.
The builder that murdered everybody. That's the wife of the guy who died in it. That's the wife of the guy who killed everybody because he was a businessman, and that's the wife of the guy.
Killed everyone because he was a businessman.
Yeah, he was a bad businessman. That's the wife of the guy who killed everyone because he was a teacher. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Anyway, so she's kind of just depressed that this has all come out, and Tyrone's lovely because they're very blatantly building up to the Tyrone and Fizz reunion. I'm not complaining as much as I absolutely love Phil as well. Ty kind of points out, Phil, you should have shut his friend up when he was banging on about this, and Fizz was like, yeah, he was kind of quiet about it.
Can I just point something out as well? If you were Phil, you should have told your friends, look, Fizz is John Stape's ex-wife. Don't talk about it.
She hasn't mentioned it to me yet, so you probably shouldn't bring it up.
Yeah, can you please not say anything? Because she might be embarrassed.
It was another one of those massive coincidences again, wasn't it? That one of his friends
and like, if you know your friend is like a prosecutor in the courts, okay.
They should have had a scene where this prosecutor was just walking up the street towards the bistro and going, I know you, I know you, I know you. Hey, Imran. Anyway, later on, and Fizz and Tyrone are having a great old time, dunking biscuits and reminiscing about old times together. And he says, look, you were right not to mention John to Phil. He's not worth thinking about anymore. And then there's a knock at the door, and it's Phil. He's got Fizz's handbag. He's looking kind of guilty or apologetic maybe about not defending her when he had the chance earlier, or not just telling his friend to shut up. So he goes into the lounge and apologises for not saying anything. He says, but I tore a strip off Graham when you left. Honestly,
did you?
Yeah,
did
definitely.
you?
He also admits he's always known about John. He assumed that she didn't want it all brought up though. And Fizz says, yeah, it was awful. She kind of opens up about how hellish the whole situation was. And
but it's fun to watch.
Phil says, I promise I'll be there for you, whether you want to talk about it or not. So when they get up to go home, Fizz thanks Tyrone and says, you're a good man. And they leave, and Tyrone says, just not good enough, eh?
Tyrone, you rejected her.
He did.
You're the one that made this happen, Tyrone. She wanted to marry you, you donut.
Yep.
You could be married.
Yep. Wednesday. So this is where we had a lovely little
I love it.
podcast shout out. They never talk about podcasts on Coronation Street, do they? But
they do. They've spoken about them a few times.
Very rarely, but this felt like a whole scene dedicated to the medium of podcasting.
I love this so much.
So Michael is an avid true crime podcast fan, isn't he?
This is weird because most of the people who listen to true crime podcasts are women.
Well, there you go. Whatever.
I'm telling you, Michael, this is how you pick up chicks.
It's not worked so far, has it? Hasn't it?
He needs to go walk. I suppose, to be fair, if I was at a bar and a bloke came up to you and went, Ted Bundy, what about him? He's bad, wasn't he? I think I would cover my drink and move away.
Yeah. So Michael is gobsmacked to discover that notorious serial killer John State was married to Fizz. Like, why don't you know this?
No, but listen, I'm going to give Michael a pass here because he's not necessarily from Weatherfield, and also when you listen to lots of true crime podcasts, you don't necessarily know what the people look like. Like, there's a few murderers, I don't know what they actually look like.
No, I know. But again, I just would have thought it'd be something that would come up. He's been living on the street for 2-3 years now.
I think he keeps himself to himself.
There's murders that happen all the time. I think maybe the reason that they moved to Coronation Street is secretly Michael saying, I want to get in with all this.
Murder tourism.
It is, basically. That could be his new thing. He's always got different, his finger in many pies when it comes to business opportunities. He could be the murder tour guy of Coronation Street.
I would love that. Oh, gosh.
I'd go to a Michael tour. He'd be an ace tour guide.
I really do love Michael being a true crime podcast enthusiast. I absolutely love this. It's so funny.
And they're like,
because he's so nice and chill, isn't he? He's like,
yeah.
You can't imagine him sitting there at night, like eating popcorn, and then he dragged their bodies into the bathroom where he took an axe.
I can imagine him just like going, oh my gosh. I can imagine him, overreacting while he was listening to it.
Mum, can you bring me up some hot chocolate and tell me a story?
Yeah, Aggie comes up with what would be an Aggie-fied hot chocolate drink?
With a bit of
hot
Marmite.
chocolate with a bit of mincemeat stirred.
Or maybe she comes in and she overhears and she's like, "Yeah, that does kill you really quickly. Actually, if you do it that way around, I would do it."
Yeah. Anyway,
we had a bloke in with that the other week. Didn't last the night.
They're saying like, "Oh, has there been a podcast about John Stape?" And we were like,
yes!
And literally, as we were watching this, usually we try and eat our dinner before Coronation Street, so I can at least just watch and take my notes. But on Wednesday night, we were eating whilst watching, and I literally had to drop my dinner, get onto my Twitter, find my link to the John Stape podcast that we did, and go, yes, tweet. Here's a John Stape podcast. There is one. Here it is. Funny. And then I get a lot of likes as well. So thank you everybody that liked that tweet.
Did we get any more? Did we get loads of more extra downloads?
We did get some actually.
Did we?
We had, yeah. Well, I checked.
We don't actually normally look, do we?
No, we didn't. Overnight, between Wednesday and Thursday, we had 13 views of the John Stape character profile on YouTube. Actually, so big numbers there.
Thank you, Coronation.
I don't want to brag or anything, but
wow.
Right, so
that's nice. That's
anyway,
good.
Fizz is not very happy with the fact that her ex-husband is being bandied about in the factory, so she goes and disappears off, all upset again. And Beth tries to comfort her later and say, yeah, don't worry about it, it's going to be fine. And Fizz is like, I don't need defending by you or anybody, Beth. I've not done anything wrong. So in the pub later, Fizz talks to Phil about never being able to escape the shadow of John Stape. The ghost of John Stape, as it were. What if these people from the other day were one of Charlotte's relatives or something? And she says, look, some people around here still think I'm guilty. I just want to forget about it. And then later she pops off to the bog, and Phil has a bit of a shady phone call.
Were you going to say something else?
What were you going to say?
He said he popped to the log. He popped to the loo and had a shady.
No, Phil phones up somebody and says, "You got my email then? Right."
Interesting.
The plot thickens. Well, Friday, Michael finds Fizz and Phil in the cafe and apologises for upsetting the other day, and she says, it's fine. Fizz then asks him, Phil, sorry, not Michael, to go and pick up the girls after school.
You can make that to it.
I can't because I'm in Leeds, apparently, and this is where he gives a very dodgy look. Tyrone later on sees Phil passing a brown envelope to a shady-looking guy in Victoria Gardens. Don't do things like that in the middle of the place where all of your neighbours are. Seriously, go. They could have at least gone down Villain's Alley. It's only a short 10-second walk away, isn't it? Not very good move, Phil, whatever it was. So he goes and tells Kirk about what he's seen, and he says, oh yeah, Phil's supposed to be in Leeds today, but he was in Victoria Gardens. You can't be in Leeds there as well, can you? And Kirk very wisely warns him that Fizz isn't going to be too happy if she hears that he's chucking baseless accusations around, so he needs to be careful with what he says. And Tyrone goes around number 9 later on at the end of the day and is asking Phil all these questions. He's like going, oh yeah, well, I hear there was a pile-up on the motorway, was there? Oh, how was it in Leeds? It was great delivery by Alan as like Tyrone trying to sound like very nonchalant about the whole thing and just casually asking questions, but not working at all. Fizz is very suspicious about what his intentions are, and Phil gets quite flustered by being grilled about this, and he kind of disappears off. And Fizz is like, why are you giving him the 3rd degree, Tyrone? And unfortunately, we don't get any further with that one. So, what do we reckon, Gemma? Unfortunately, I don't know. I don't know for sure what's going on, although we did have somebody reply to one of our tweets with something earlier.
What?
No. So saying Some people have replied with theories, and then somebody said, I think I read blah, 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 and this is it. So possibly I know what's going on. So I don't want to speculate too much. But
on Twitter?
Yeah, you missed that.
No, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, so I hope that that's not been spoiled for me. But
that's annoying.
Yeah, I know, I hate it.
I think I just assumed until Tyrone caught him giving papers, I just assumed that he is actually only in with Fizz because he wants dirt on John. But that doesn't make any sense, because why would you be with somebody for this long and move in with them?
It's a massive long game, isn't it?
Doesn't make any sense.
If it turns out that all this time Phil has been, going out with Fizz just so that he can find out about her ex-husband, why has he taken so long? He could have got all the information that he wanted from her back in like October time or whenever it was that he first came into it. So it doesn't make any sense, but it doesn't mean that that's not what they're going for, and the Coronation Street script writers have only just realised that that's what it is.
But then you see, when Tyrone saw him and now he's onto him, it makes me think that it's going to be some kind of nice thing for Fizz, like
surprise party.
It's a holiday. We're going to get married in Greece.
Yeah, maybe. So that's the sort of thing that does happen, but just the fact that Phil was looking dodgy a couple of times does make me wonder.
But then, were there to be, like I said, because we've seen Tyrone see him, makes me think that he'll kind of confront him and then it'll turn out to be something nice, then he'll look stupid. But then again, like you said, it does feel very much like it's being set up for Tyrone to win Fizz's heart back.
Exactly.
So
and
this could
Phil
be
needs to be out of the picture for that.
Something
this could be the
awful
end of Phil.
That Phil is going to be revealed to be horrible.
But
what
he's
happened
so
to
nice.
Mimi, his mum? His annoying mum.
I've forgotten about her.
Because he's lost his job.
Bring back Mimi.
He's lost his job. So how's he paying for all this? Because
maybe Mimi's popped her clogs.
Yes, maybe this
Phil
is money.
was off screen for a few months.
I'm surprised that Mimi hasn't come in and gone, oh, dreadful, what a horrible house. Oh, I can't believe you're living in such a
if we are going to be seeing the denouement of Phil soon, I hope that we get another Mimi appearance.
What was the name of the dog? Coco?
Yeah, maybe something like that. It'd be a real shame if Phil is uncovered to be a villain, because he's been really, really lovely. I think that we've been very blessed to have kept Jamie McKenna, is that his name? I think so, on the show for quite so long, because when he came in, he's felt like an incredibly temporary character, didn't he? And although, even if he does go soon at the end of, whatever's going on now, that's still fairly short. But I was expecting him to stay on the show for like 1-2 months max. Yeah. So it's been lovely that we've been able to keep him longer. Unfortunately, if Fizz and Tyrone are getting back together, I think that's going to be the end of Phil. He's not going to hang around as an extra character or anything, is he?
Is Phil going to turn out to be one of these loser podcasters who spends all their time talking into a microphone to nobody?
Do you think that that's Phil's secret, that he's actually a true crime podcaster?
Dirty, filthy podcaster.
I would love that. I think Corey was just throwing out references to us this week, weren't they? Podcasting, timpertency.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah. And it's not just... And it was also Michael being into podcasts as well, wasn't it? That's me.
Next we've got Gemma going, I love podcasts too.
I haven't seen...
We should start a podcast
Gemma's not
together.
been in it for ages, has she?
She left the show.
Yeah, okay. But I'll touch wood, I won't speak too soon with that one.
I thought you said you're enjoying her.
No, I am,
recently.
that's true.
So
I am
how dare
enjoying
you?
Gemma. I just don't like many of the other things that go around Gemma.
I can really honestly just picture a really funny scene between Michael and Gemma where they're talking about Michael saying, oh, did you hear about Fizz and John Stape? And she's like, yeah, how do you know about that? And he says, oh, one of my true crime podcasts. She goes, oh, I love true crime podcasts. I love listening to them. And then Michael's like, well, I do as well, but I only like for the the cultural aspect, and just wondering the psychology of how somebody could be like that. And her going, oh, I love all the grisly bits where they talk about hacking up their bodies and where all the people get found. It's gross.
Coronation Street, it is our 10th anniversary coming up this summer. If you want to have the characters of Michael and Gemma get together for a little conversation about podcasts on the show, that would be quite lovely, actually. Can we start a campaign for that?
Yes. I mean, the campaign to get us as background artists went so well, didn't it?
That's not going to happen, but you could
How many
get
people
Michael and
signed
Gemma
that
on
petition?
the show. I don't even know.
Like 40. That's pretty good.
I was thinking earlier that, do you think that John Stape, they overusing him? Because it's only been a few years since we had Jade, didn't we?
I know, yeah.
And it's like, Fizz has got more going for her than she was married to John. I suppose it's similar to Gail with Richard getting married. Getting referenced all the time.
He gets brought up a lot. It would come up a lot, Michael.
But the Platts are in it. They were never out of the show, so it would be natural for it to be brought up. But it just feels like if we've only just had the reveal of John's secret daughter, if this is the reveal of John's secret godfather or something that
brother.
Phil's secretly in cahoots with, then it's going to feel
stupid.
a bit samey.
Or,
is there a possibility, and I think the answer is no to this, that could Phil be working with Jade? That would be an interesting...
boo.
No? I think that could be an interesting comeback.
Boo. I didn't like Jade being... I didn't like that storyline. I've decided I didn't like it.
I thought we liked it at the time.
No, I decided I didn't like it.
Oh, okay.
In my mind now, what I need, and this is completely not what you're talking about, a scene with Michael talking to Hope and Fizz and realising slowly that Hope is the daughter of John, the murderer, John Stape, and kind of like getting freaked out and like backing slowly away. And then maybe Evelyn notices he's uncomfortable and she's like, she sets fires as well, you know. And then he never talks to her again.
I think that Michael should get a copy of Ken Barlow's Cartwright mystery book about the murderous Elliot family and all that. Honestly, I think that could be a good avenue to take that character
I love
down.
it so much. I love Michael being into true crime podcasts.
Me too.
I wonder what his favourite one is. Think he likes My Favourite Murder? Last Podcast on the Left?
I don't know any, because I am not into true crime podcasts. I don't think I'd be able to follow them.
Morbid?
Yes, we know well, done, Gemma. You know lots of true crime podcasts. Right.
We should start one. I've always wanted to do one. We could actually
Gemma
make
keeps
money
going
out of
on
that.
about us starting a true crime podcast. I'd be
we
absolutely
could make money out of
about it.
But we wouldn't do that because we're not vultures.
Right, Gemma, can you tell us what's Max and Daniel and that lot been up to this
God,
week?
do you know what?
You get this storyline.
Oh, I wish I shouldn't have let you.
Daniel's a bit of a downer at the moment, isn't he? It's like, come on, Daniel, put yourself together. Go on. This was the letdown story of the month. I didn't think it was too bad, but every time this story came on the screen, I was like, yeah.
Right, Monday, David admits to Shona that Max is cacking himself because he's got to go to this trial.
Yeah, there's the spiking trial. We didn't see the trial.
Oh, it's an actual trial.
What did you think it was?
I forgot because I thought you were talking about the LEA thing.
Oh, no.
Like they were going to have a trial to see whether he's allowed to go to school or not.
No.
I thought that's a bit harsh. Anyway, so the local authority has got to...
They've got to decide whether they can place him in a proper school or a PIU.
So at school, Orla tells Daniel that he seems so down. And he's like, I don't really want to go into it. And she says, look, there's a permanent position coming up and I want you to apply. So in the pub later, Nikki and Paul, who are his roommates, to remind you, encouraged Daniel to sign up for this job. And he's like, I can't really get inside of anything, to be honest. And I feel the same way about this storyline. He's like, my family doesn't like me anymore, so I don't care about anything. Max is
I'd forgotten all of that stuff about the Barlows estranging Daniel.
Yeah, it's just not good. It's not
because
that interesting.
he didn't blab on Max that he'd spiked Amy's drink, isn't it? And Tracy's really riled up about that at the moment.
It's because he pushed him down the stairs and then they had a double jeopardy.
Yeah.
Is that what you call it when you push someone down the stairs, but you know they spike somebody else? Max's court case goes well, but he's got a year's referral order, so he's got to stay on his best behaviour. And Shona tells David...
How long he's got to stay good for 12 months, they said, I think. So 11 months' time, he's going to go on the rampage, perhaps.
Shona tells David he's being a bit harsh on Max.
Yeah, David's. Yeah, no. David's like, well, you're lucky. I can't remember. He wasn't like, oh, well done, Max. Everything's fine. He's just like, yeah, you got in trouble.
Well, yeah.
You're taking it like a grown up. Yeah.
Daisy goes to see Tracy and Ken and plead Daniel's case, and Tracy says, Daniel's got something to say. She come and say it to my face, and keep your nose out of our business. Later, David tells Shona that Max has only been offered a place at the pupil referral unit. And she says she's sure it'll be fine, but he's really worried about him, is David. Back at number 1, Amy overhears Tracy and Ken talking about Nikki. Later, Max is told about this pupil referral unit, and I don't know what it is. Is it like permanent detention?
No, right. So I looked into this because probably as a teacher, I should be the authority on all things educational. I didn't really know much about what PRU was, but no, it's somewhere where children can be sent who, for whatever reason, can't go to a mainstream school. Mainstream school. So you get the idea from this that it's just a school for reprobates, and it's not just that. I don't know whether the numbers are mostly children who've been excluded, but it could be for children who've are seriously bullied in schools and they just can't go to a normal school and no place can be open for them, so they go there. Or it may be children who are too sick to be able to be in mainstream education, or maybe they've got special educational needs that are so severe that they can't get a place in, or they don't think a mainstream school is right for them. So there's various reasons that these children cannot go into normal mainstream schools, and the government, the local authority, is obliged to be able to provide them a place. They can't say, there's no places for you. They have got to find them a place, and these PRUs are places for that. And we've got some in Southampton even. It's not like there's, they're all spread out.
I would imagine there's a few of them.
They are about. So, so
there's lots of reasons why a child might not be able to go to school.
Yeah.
And this is like a way of providing them education because the government's legally obliged to.
And they actually, looking at the stats as well, I think it said 14% of them are maybe rated outstanding by Ofsted, or I can't remember. It was a higher proportion than mainstream schools. Yeah,
I think mainstream.
I think they do a good job, and you have to be a certain type of person to be able to teach in a school like that, because there probably are massive behavioural difficulties
and lots of different diverse groups of pupils with different needs.
Some children, it was saying that are massively on the autism spectrum might go there, for example. So it's going to be a place where class sizes are smaller, so there'll be more one-to-one support. So they're supposed to be good places,
like
but
a good place, yeah.
It does. I mean, but I was just reading it off an internet page that wanted to just say the facts about what it is. Maybe in real life they are actually, as bad as Coronation Street had made it sound.
Well, the thing is, anytime anything's outside the norm, there's a stigma attached to it.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that probably, and also if you don't know anything about it, you feel worried.
Yeah. It's not just a school for very naughty children, although I'm guessing that maybe quite a high proportion of the children on roll are fairly naughty.
Yeah, but the thing, why are they naughty? That's the question. There could be lots of different reasons.
Yeah.
Why they
and I guess this is a place that's, trying to help.
Yeah, you can help people.
Yeah, to help them turn a corner.
So my mum is a teacher. She used to work with children like this, not in somewhere like that because they didn't exist, but she used to work with children who had very
challenging backgrounds.
Yeah, and she could really get through to them a lot of the time because she was able to, because she was given the time and the space to be able to do it. But it's more difficult these days, I think. Anyway, so he's been given a place here, and he says, I don't care. I need someone who went there. I don't even care. It's only for a year, and I need to face the consequences of what I've done. So I guess he's going to grow out of school in a year.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, he's going to reach school leaving age in a year.
That's what I took that to mean. But he's also got that probation for a year.
He's looking fairly on the positive side about it.
I guess if I was a parent, the thing I would think is I don't really want that to be on his CV for the rest of his life.
Yeah,
that might look weird.
Yeah.
But other than that, if he gets better support. On Wednesday, Max is getting ready for his first day at the new school, and Gail's like, good luck. She gets him a new bag, which he doesn't like. Daniel does some interview prep with Ken, and Tracy comes up and has a go at him because he's apologised, but she won't accept it. Then Amy gets upset and goes off, and then Amy says, I'm going to tell Mrs. Crawshaw about what you've done. Tracy says, see, I do it too. Tracy goes to the barber's to try to get David on her side, making a fuss about Daniel, and she's like, let's go and tell Mrs. Crawshaw about what they've gone up to and how he pushed Max down the stairs. And everyone's trying to talk her down. And back at number 1, Amy says, look, this happened to me. I will deal with it. It's not your business, so let me sort it out. So she's been very
Amy.
mature.
She's very, very sensible. I
think she's come back into her own again.
Yeah.
Because I remember when she was little, she was really endearing and she was a bit spooky, and then she kind of got a bit boring.
She did. In the mid-teens, she got a bit boring, but she's so kind of got her head screwed on.
I really like her. She's a very likeable character.
She is a very, very likeable character. Putting her with Jacob, mwah.
Max comes into the barbers after school. It's been his first day, and it was brilliant. He really enjoyed it. They've got a brilliant AV suite, and he's made some friends. Somebody called Chris, and he also has this cool girl who's into filmmaking, but she doesn't have a name.
No,
which I thought was weird. David taunts Daniel about his interview that he's got coming up to get this job. As he walks past, it kind of disconcert him.
Yeah.
And then Tracy and Daniel cross paths in the street, and she kind of keeps him hanging, but then she tells him she didn't go and see Mrs. Crawshaw in the end, but he can still keep away from her. So on Friday, Daniel's interview prepping in the cafe again.
Why is he doing it in the cafe?
Because he wants everyone to know how hard he's working.
You got a house, Daniel. I just couldn't do it.
Well, to be fair, he is sharing this house with Paul and Nikki.
There must be other places than a busy cafe.
What about a library?
Yeah.
What about the staff room?
Yeah.
Anyway, Max sees Summer in the cafe and she doesn't want to talk to him, because what he did was disgusting and he wants to make things up right, and she just goes off in a huff. And Max tells David that this has made him realise how much making up he needs to do. Then we get Daniel's getting maudlin watching Sinead's videos.
That was a nice little cameo from Sinead. It's been a while, hasn't it? It's been over a year at least since we've seen any of those. I wonder how often he watches them. Yeah, well, in times when he... Times of woe, times of... It's
supposed to be for Bertie.
I know.
Whenever I see Sinead doing her little videos where she's going... always reminds me of Tiny Tim in Christmas Carol.
Did Katie McGlynn get a little bit of money for that? Did she
get some money? I hope so. Paul and Nikki come in and...
I want to know as well, that particular bit of video, has that clip been shown on Coronation Street before? How much footage did they take of Katie McGlynn saying various inspirational things?
I wonder whether they've recorded her saying any exciting plot things that would be really cool and interesting in the future,
here's my secret.
I've got to tell you something that nobody knows. Oh no, the USB file's corrupted. What could she mean?
They could have...
I would have really asked her to do this. It would have been very
sensible just to have her say a load of things, and some of them might not have been ever used, but things that they could have drawn from in the future.
But in the future, we could probably use deepfakes to make her say anything.
That is very true, yeah.
Where did we get to? Everyone's trying to sort of G Daniel up about his interview. Sorry, guys. He thinks he's a rubbish teacher. I don't say I disagree. The interview begins. He's not doing very well, and they say, "What are you most proud of in the last year in the classroom?" And he's like, "I can't even think of anything, actually."
He's just he's given up, hasn't he?
He's defeated before he even started.
Absolutely defeatist attitude.
See, I think this is a bit of ego protection here from Daniel. I think he's very egotistical, and I think he's worried that he might not get the job. So I think his ego's kicked in to go, a good point. Don't even try, Daniel, and then you can say that you haven't failed.
Yeah.
So the interview's over, and Orla's like, "What the hell are you doing? Do you not want this job?" And he says, "I'm just really down. I'm not cut out for teaching. I'm going to finish my training and quit." That's the spirit. Goes to the pub to drown his sorrows. Daisy looks gutted for him. But David's chuffed and he's like, you should go live somewhere else, actually. Your life's over here. David goes back and tells Shona, Mr. Chips has had his chips.
What was that shrug for?
Is he Mr. Chips off of,
Not off catchphrase. Mr. Chips, the teacher.
Is this a famous thing, or is this... Yeah. Who's Mr. Chips?
I don't know, but it's a thing.
I think it's before David's time.
No, maybe. I don't know.
Anyway, he says Mr. Chips has had his chips. And Max is texting Chris. Is it Chris, or is it girl?
Well, he says it's Chris. And I don't know whether Chris is a girl.
Later. Daniel returns home and tells Nikki what's happened. And she says, you shouldn't do this. We're still time to fix things. And he says, I'm not fit to be a teacher. What would Sinead think of me? And Nikki says that you just made one mistake. Everybody makes mistakes. And she takes his hand and she says, "I'll help you." And he says...
when she was taking her hand, she said something along the lines of, "Oh, Sinead loved you like I..." and then kind of stops herself from confessing her love, doesn't she?
I think
She's
we could have a
falling for
future.
him, the dashing fool.
Daniel sighs and says it's not going to happen. And then it gets a bit awkward. And then it's the end.
Yeah, so, oh dear, Nikki is falling for Daniel. Ooh. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I honestly think Daisy's more suited to Daniel.
Oh yeah,
than Nikki
definitely.
Is.
I just can't get behind Nikki. I'm sorry.
Daisy, I know that Daisy is conniving and she's not interested in the same things that Daniel is, but I think she's way brighter than Nikki is.
Yeah.
I think that.
Oh, definitely.
I think
She's
Nikki.
sharp.
Nikki doesn't read books because I don't know if she can read, whereas Daisy's just not interested. Sorry, I really don't like Nikki very much.
No, I'm not. Actually,
not really
she
into
hasn't
her.
won me over.
I find her a bit. I find her completely not unlikable, but just like not the kind of person that I have any interest in knowing more about.
No. I thought that this. Some bits I was interested in this storyline this week. I found the interview kind of interesting / amusing. The fact that, you know, they're very nice that they gave Daniel the chance to be in his home turf, in his own classroom for the interview, rather than, I don't know, the head teacher's office. And it was very nice that it was Mrs. Crawshaw, the deputy head, who was the one doing the interview, rather than, I don't know, the head teacher who maybe did it. And I
think Orla Crawshaw has joined the ranks of the Weatherfield serial killer posse.
You're right. I think Mr. Griffin is underneath
into the gym.
People referral unit or something. Yeah, it was possibly not the most realistic of teaching interviews, and the fact that he had to wait until 3:00 to go there as well. Surely a teaching interview is going to involve like watching him teach something. Even didn't Nikki, when she got the job there, she had to be observed interacting with a group of children, didn't she? So I guess Orla watches them all the time, so what's the point? But it's only fair. Anyway, do you think he is going to quit teaching? Is this the end? Is he, and should he?
He's useless, isn't he? I think he should.
I really liked the idea at the beginning of Daniel being a teacher. I think it's nice having a teacher, the fact that he's following in his father's footsteps, because Daniel is definitely a mini Ken in very many ways, because they like to hit children. But
who doesn't?
He's totally, thinking about it, not suitable. He's pushed a kid down the stairs. He's roughed them up, like when he was going inside Max's backpack that one time. He's totally not suitable.
He's really also unable to like draw a line between his social life and his school life. He's way too involved in the children and what they're up to.
Well, one particular child, really. He's just obsessed with Max.
And also, I don't know that it's necessarily appropriate that he... Some people can cope with it, but I don't think he can, knowing the children outside of school.
Yeah, no. But
I think he needs to go to a school that's nowhere near where he lives.
He does, but equally, he is also very new to the job and he's got plenty to learn. I think on the teaching side of it, we're led to believe he's actually quite good, and he's certainly got the subject knowledge and everything. I mean, we haven't actually seen him do much teaching, have we?
He's just too wrapped up with drama.
Yeah. I think that he should, you're right, he should just get a job at another school.
Yeah. Where he doesn't know anybody and actually try and do teaching and not just lurk around coffee shops.
I mean, sometimes I have a problem, a bit like relationships on Coronation Street, where they don't like to develop them. They like put this couple together for a bit and then they split them up after a while because, we can't think of any storylines other than get together, maybe have a baby and then break up. And sometimes characters get jobs and they're just in that job for a little while. But let's just make him a teacher for good. He's either going to be a teacher or a journalist, isn't he? And I'd probably rather he was
a journalist already.
Yeah, so I'd rather he was a teacher.
But I don't like how disrespectful Coronation Street is.
I do.
To teachers.
Yeah, but I did like Shona's line about the 6-week holiday today, because that is the classic thing that people who have got no idea about teaching say, isn't it? Like, you must love that 6-week holiday.
I know, but...
And Daniel gave a bit of a look, but it didn't really fit right, because Daniel literally
has never had a holiday because he's never been a teacher.
Well, no, that's right. He's never had a 6-week holiday. Also, his workload doesn't seem to be too bad. He's certainly got the work-life balance right, hasn't he? Because he gets his breakfast in the cafe. He gets into school. He literally is a 9 till 3 teacher, isn't he? I think.
Yeah.
But no, I thought that was quite a funny line from Shona. It was. Yeah. I also like Shona talking about giving a teacher a nervous breakdown when she was at school. I thought that was good. But
we
Gemma,
definitely did that to one of our teachers. It's really bad.
I know, but still funny to have Shona talking about it. The biggest shock of the week for me this week is that the Edinburgh trips happened.
I know, they wouldn't even take us with
casually
them.
drop that in.
I wanted to go.
That was like clearly seemed to be setting up a story where Daniel and Nikki go to Edinburgh together and Daisy's jealous, or what do they get up to? What happens in Edinburgh stays in Edinburgh. But no, it's happened, and they were organising this over the Easter holidays, weren't they? So they literally started to organise it 6 weeks ago, and now they've been and come back, and it's all over. Well, good for them.
Good job. Nice work.
I've got a residential trip coming up that I've been organising on and off for the past 9 months or so. It's driving me nuts the amount of organisation it takes. But anyway,
you're just making a mountain out of a mountain.
I'm very surprised that they didn't go down the route of let's send them off to Edinburgh and get them together in a hotel room or
can I just point out that they went to Wales to film this scene for
No, don't bring that up again. We've already apologised. We've already said.
Why couldn't they go to? Maybe that's why they spent all that money on going to Wales. They should have gone to Scotland.
Yeah. I mean. What do you think about Tracy's behaviour? Do you think that she's being unreasonable in her...
Well, it's her kid.
She seems to be being written as being unreasonable, but if you think about it, you probably would be.
She is taking it out on Daniel when it wasn't Daniel that did it. I think she's kind of misdirecting her anger.
No. But what Daniel did is still keep quiet.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I'm not particularly enjoying seeing her... bad-mouthing him and slanging match in the script. I just haven't really got time for it. I wasn't invested in it.
The Barlows are quite like
understand. That. Yeah. I'm sure she'll just kind of forget about it. It seems to be one of those things that, she will, we'll come back to them 6 months later and they'll be friends and we didn't actually see the making up. A bit like now how Billy and Todd are best mates again. Right, let's finish off with the Halo story with a bit of Jacob Hay and Amy Barlow. My favourite new couple on the street at the moment, and they're having a bit of a rough time in their flat because they got a leak or something, or the electricity's been turned off. Yeah, it's they haven't got the money, cost of living increase, etc. So we had Daniel coming over to them and saying, Amy, thank you very much for talking Tracy down, because this is a part of this is crossing over with that other story at times this week. I had to do stories together. But Dev tells Steve and Tracy later in the episode that Amy had been struggling to pay her groceries the other week. So they're starting to worry that she's struggling moving out with her boyfriend Jacob. And then we get a scene, speaking of Jacob, in the cafe where Mary kind of comes out of the box going, "Ooh, that's better."
I know.
And Jacob's there and offers her a seat, and she
wants a BT.
Yeah, she'd been sent off by Tracy to go and get her order book, but she took a detour to the cafe instead. And Jacob's like, "I'll go and get it for you." Yeah, that's right.
And it's at her house.
Yeah, over at Eileen's house at number 11. Jacob says, "I'll go and get it for you," because he's such a lovely chap.
He is.
But
he's got
what he wants, he's got an ulterior motive. He wants to go and have a secret shower. He should have invited Amy over at least. So we get to see, and I'm sure Jack James Ryan's fans, or a certain number of those fans, appreciated his towel scene coming down the stairs. Why would you do this? Like, if you're having a secret shower at someone's house and they could literally come back at any moment, and who lives there at the moment? Eileen, does Sean live there? I can't remember. So. Does he? Maybe he doesn't. Todd lives there at the moment, doesn't he?
I think so.
I don't think Sean does. George stays there. Just casually flaunting your nips around the house.
I don't even walk around our house with a towel.
No.
I don't flaunt my nips anywhere.
No,
That's
you don't.
what you were
It's very
to.
true. No. But anyway, So he kind of asked for it, but it was a funny scene, kind of shimmying down the stairs, and he sprays his deodorant under his arms, and he kind of bends over and sprays it up to his bits. I thought that was quite funny, and then Eileen comes like, what are you doing here? Drags him outside, and
can I just say, if you saw someone you kind of casually know, and they were spraying deodorant up there, with a towel around them, would you assume that they'd had a shower in your house, or...
I don't know.
Would you assume that they was in some kind of weird, perverted ritual?
I don't know. I don't even know how well Eileen even knows Jacob, to be honest.
No.
So, anyway, she throws him out onto the street. Mary's there with Tracy as well. They kind of rush over. It all comes out what happened. And Jacob saying, oh yeah, my lecky's been turned off and I just really wanted a shower. So Tracy drags him back to number 1 and gives him the Spanish Inquisition about what's been going on exactly at this dodgy flat. And it transpires that although it is a council place, it's in his sister's name. So it's all a bit... it's not really above board what's going on there. Tracy asks him a bit about his parents. He says his mum's been in and out of prison. His dad's never been interested in him, but he's really, really trying to turn his life around. And getting together with Amy is a step towards being a functioning member of society. And Tracy says, "Look, Amy can't stay in this flat with you any longer. She can come back to live with me anytime you want, though." And Jacob's like, "No, she's not going to come back. She's putting her foot down about this." And then he goes off and says, "Oh well, look, I just don't want to let Amy down. I want to be a good boyfriend to her," and that's kind of it, really. That was the gist of the conversation, and I just thought it was great because I absolutely think Jacob is wonderful.
Yeah, I think he's
so bloody charming, isn't he?
He's such a refreshing character on the street. There's not very many other people like him. Because he's in a different age bracket to the rest of the younger characters.
Yeah.
Where he's kind of on the cusp, isn't he, of adulthood. And the others are a bit younger. He's more like Nina's age, isn't he? I think, is he?
I think
it's
so,
a big
yeah. I mean,
those
Jack himself
years,
is 25, but I think Jacob's supposed to be a bit younger, yeah.
Those years are very... It's not just your maturity levels, but your life experience differs so much every year of your life when you're that age. So to have him... is interesting because you've got, you can see that, like, say for example Ardy's like right almost there just behind him, but he's not quite there yet. He's not independent, he doesn't have to survive on his own. And like Jacob, Jacob's had a hard life and he's not got anybody to rely on. I really enjoy watching him.
He's
a proper working class lad as well, not like the rest of these blooming, You've got Ardy and Asher who are masquerading as working class kids, but their dad goes golfing, owns a string of businesses. We're watching old episodes of Coronation Street at the moment where he's dating a woman and trying to help her fit out her art gallery.
Oh, Dev is, yeah.
Dev.
Yeah, he's dating Tara.
Jacob's proper hard Scrabble. I've got nobody but myself. I've got to live on my cunning and my wit.
And my charms. I've got to charm myself through life.
I really like him. He's an urchin.
He is.
We like urchins.
The scene with Mary where he was like, "Oh, you sit here, love." He's just like confidence and
yeah, he's confident,
wonderful and lovely.
I do like that.
The comparisons between him and Graham Proctor are definitely well deserved. He
also
reminds me a bit of like when we had David and Daryl.
That's exactly what I was about to say. David, Daryl, Graham.
Yeah.
Those kind of bunch of lads. Miss that. Like Simon obviously isn't anything like that, and Ardy does have his charms, but I love Ardy, but he's not the same kind of person. He's not the same. He does come across as being a bit posher, doesn't he? And they're not giving him the stories either. I'm baffled as to why Adam Hussein is still, after 2 years in the show, just been relegated to the odd scene here and there. I don't know what he might be studying.
No, I don't know. I think he's left school. But anyway,
might be continuing his education, Michael.
I'm not sure.
He might be on Duolingo like me.
He is. I just think it's fab. But him and Amy, keep them together forever. I'll be really sad when they split up. Don't do it, Coronation Street. Interesting that they have started to put a little bit of a backstory in for Jacob as well. I was interested to hear about his mum. Are we going to see her sometime? Are we going to see his sister?
Well, his sister's Lydia, right? Oh,
No,
no,
that's in real life. Although,
I was thinking, oh yeah, his sister has gone. That makes sense. She ran off when she was fighting with Adam.
I think that this could be a bit like you've got, Gemma comes in as a bit of a scoundrel, goes good, moves into the street as a permanent character. In comes brother Paul, mum Bernie.
Oh yes, chain immigration.
And then we all get sick of Jacob by the end of it when he's had his quintuplets. I don't know.
Oh God.
So anyway, for now, absolutely loving him. And that is it.
I feel so sorry for these two. They
Coronation
don't understand that it's okay to ask for help when you're so young and you're struggling. But also, they are both earning wages, although she's trying to study at the same time. Just feels like they're trying to run for more crazy
Gemma,
kids.
Can you please, for the benefit of me and the listeners,
For the benefit
rate
of the tape,
this week's Coronation Street out of 5? What are you giving it?
I'm going to give this, I reckon, 4 lucky burglars.
4 lucky burglars. I was thinking you might go for that. 4, that's a good score this
because
week.
It was good. I mean, the most boring bit of it was the Max stuff.
Yeah.
Max and Daniel and everything.
Sure,
really dull.
Sure. I didn't think it was really dull. It just wasn't quite as interesting.
I don't care. It's because I don't care. What's
one
the
thing
dilemma?
that's interesting
There's
me
no
about
dilemma
Max
anymore.
is that is he nice or not? And I'm kind of like a bit on edge. And like every time he says, "Oh no, I want to turn the corner," and
I don't believe it.
I don't. He's unsettling when he's smiling.
It's like you're waiting for him to stab you.
Yeah. So I don't know. Was I going to go for 4? I don't think there are. Oh no, but Wednesdays was pretty good. Oh, what the heck! I'll give it 4 as well.
Ooh.
I'm going to give it 4 handbags out of 5. Character of the week this week.
Well,
I'm kind of. Have you got anything you're edging towards? I'm having a little look and I don't know. I mean, Jacob was awesome, but he wasn't a big enough part of the week maybe to win this time.
I should give it to John Stape just for still getting a shout out. How many years after he died?
Abby was pretty good this week. Toyah was lovely, but I don't think she's character of the week material this week. I really enjoyed Tim this week, honestly. I thought he was very funny with his pills and everything, and definitely right to tear a strip off Sal at the end of today's episode. Do I give it to Gail?
Gail was really funny. I was just thinking Gail was great. She got that great scene with Eileen today at the bench.
Yeah, she did. She got the Eileen scene. She got the Richard's sexual frustration scene. She got the scurrying with the...
She got to overhear somebody's conversation.
I didn't like that bit.
I know you didn't.
Because it's such a rare occurrence, and I don't think it's going to happen again anytime soon, I might give Gail a bit of a sympathy vote.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to her.
Fine, character of the week this week is Gail, but there were some other decent contenders as well. So, that is it for this week's Street Talk.